In the early 50s, jobs were scarce in Wilkes County, North Carolina. There were two ways to make a living. You either worked down at the sawmill, or you made homebrew, or bootleg whiskey. But the real skill was getting that product to market.
The times were hard, and it put food on the table, but best of all, we got paid for something that we was good at.
The art of making moonshine whiskey was brought over from Europe centuries ago and passed down from generation to generation. But it was the younger generation who had the nerves and skill to handle the muscle of a 1940 flathead Ford coupe. And if you were going to make a lot of money at this game, you had to be able to handle a fast car.
It became a challenge, a game. The money was good, and we loved to drive fast.
On roads barely fit for horse and cart, they would roll from their secluded hideaway and wait for the night. And when the night came, under the shine of the Carolina moon, these lonely roads became their racetracks. And there were few drivers as skilled and fearless as these. As a piece of Americana faded away, the rise of the short tracks across the South gave them the opportunity to use their driving skills. Not all were successful, but some were able to find careers that would set them on winning ways.
And we're still winning.
The man who is currently winning more than anyone else is Harry Gant, who goes for 5 Winston Cup victories in a row today. He'll do it at North Wilkesboro Speedway in the hills of Wilkes County, which has come from a dusty dirt track in the late 40s to a cathedral of steel and concrete, but it still maintains a friendly short track atmosphere.
I remember this place in 1948. I attended my first stock car race, Ned. It was a dirt track, and when I left here that day, I went home. I wanted to be a race car driver.
And it did work out for you, and I'll tell you, the fans were almost as excited then as they are today. I attended my first what is now Winston Cup race here in 1949. It was October the 16th, the 8th race of the season that year. Bob Flock was the winner. Of course, it was a dirt track back then. Bill Rexford went on to win the championship that year.
And as many exciting moments as we've seen at North Wilkesboro, Ned, there's not many as exciting as this afternoon. Harry Gant has a chance to win 5 races in a row, unparalleled in modern era.
Well, I tell you, talk about history here at this racetrack. It has plenty of it, but Harry Gant is on a history-making run himself. And for more on that, let's go to the pits and Jerry Punch.
What do you folks think, Harry Gant?
Well, if they call Reggie Jackson Mr. October, then Harry Gant has to be Mr. September because he's won 4 in a row. And Harry, you have spun and won. You have crashed and won last week up at Martinsville. What other spectacular effort are you going to put in today to win it?
Well, it's going to have to take a lot here to win today. It's going to be a lot of chassis adjustment, and I hope we don't have to come back from no spin outs or anything, but we're just planning on trying to be consistent today and work on our tires, try to save our tires. That's a big problem, it seems like.
Grew up 12 miles away, Harry. Is there a home track advantage?
No, I don't think so. We got a home track crowd, but I don't think it's got any advantage for this car today.
Indeed, they have a home track crowd, and Harry Gant sits here, and for the 381st time in his career, he's about to hear those 4 most famous words.
Are we ready to go racing? Welcome back to the microphone. The Grand Marshal for today's race, Carla Tyson. Carla?
On behalf of Tyson Harley Farms, gentlemen, start your engine.
Motorsports coverage presents Speed World. Today, live from North Wilkesboro Speedway in North Carolina, it's the Tyson Holly Farms 400. And it is a beautiful afternoon here in the brushy mountains of North Carolina. Nice cool temperatures and bright sunshine. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to North Wilkesboro. We conclude the 1991 short track season here today, and there are only 5 more races to go in the 91 Winston Cup season. The quest for the Cup standings show you that Dale Earnhardt has a 59-point edge on Ricky Rudd. Ernie Irvan, Davey Allison, and Mark Martin are separated by only 163 points. Looking at 6 through 10, there you find Harry Gant in 6th position. He is only 19 points away from 5th. Now, the 2-point leaders in Winston Cup competition, Earnhardt and Rudd, didn't have particularly good qualifying efforts here this weekend. For more on that, here's John Kernan.
Bob, you're exactly right. In fact, on Friday, first round time trials, Dale Earnhardt was only the 28th fastest. So these guys, the Goodrich crew, went to work, found a little extra speed, and second round time trials, Dale led the way. He will start 16th. Rudd starts 22nd on the field today. But if history holds true, both should still come away with fine finishes today. In fact, Earnhardt says after last week's third-place finish at Martinsville, all that circumstantial bad luck is now history. And believe it or not, Ricky Rudd said there's still enough time in the season for him not to just race Dale Earnhardt. Ricky says what he's going to concentrate on today, Bob, staying out of trouble and finishing on the lead lap.
Well, let's find out how things go, but let's first introduce for you the die-hard starting lineup for today's race. The pole sitter at 116.871 is Harry Gant from Taylorsville in the number 33 Skoll Oldsmobile. Davey Allison is alongside of the Haviland Ford, car number 28. He's from Hueytown, Alabama. Starting third, Mark Martin from Batesville, Arkansas in the number 6 Folgers Coffee Ford. And then from Greenfield, Wisconsin, number 7, Alan Kolicki, the Hooters Ford. Starting in 5th position is the Sitco Ford, car number 21, driven by Dale Jarrett from Hickory, North Carolina. And alongside will be Ernie Irvan from Modesto, California in the number 4 Kodak Chevrolet. Starting in 7th position is Rusty Wallace from St. Louis in the number 2 Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac. And then Awesome Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia in the number 9 Coors Light Ford. Taking a look at the rest of the starting lineup in row number 5, Morgan Shepherd in car number 15 and Ken Schrader in 25. The 6th row made up of last week's second-place finisher Brett Bodine in 26 and Jimmy Spencer in 98. The 7th row, rookie contender Bobby Hamilton and Jeff Bodine. The 8th row finds Darrell Waltrip and the current Winston Cup points leader Dale Earnhardt. Row number 9, Hut Strickland in car number 12 and Rick Mast in number 1. Terry Labonte will start inside row number 10 in car 94 and then Sterling Marlin in 22. The 11th row this afternoon will consist of Kyle Petty in car number 42 and Ricky Rudd second in the point standings. Going to row number 12, it's Derry Cope in car number 10 and Dave Marcus in 71, a story there later. Chad Little starts in the inside of row number 13 and then Joe Ruttman. The 14th row consists of Jimmy Hensley back in the 24 car and Michael Waltrip. Row number 15, Rick Wilson in car number 8 and Ted Musgrave in 55. The 16th row, Chuck Bound. He drives the 66 car here this afternoon. And Jimmy Means in number 52. And taking a champion's provisional to allow the other 2 provisionals, Richard Petty in car number 43. Now the 26 car has problems, it appears. Here's Jerry Punch.
Well, the 11th fastest qualifier, Brett Bodine, began to leak some fluid from beneath the right front of the car while sitting on the grid a minute ago. They've determined that it's brake fluid. Maybe one of the bleeder valves has come loose, or maybe they're going to tighten up. It's leaking some fluid from the right side. They have the right front tire off. They've had to pull the car down here as the field will come around. They will take 3 laps prior to taking the green flag as the field comes by at 35 miles per hour. That'll be the maximum speed on pit road today, while Brett Bodine in the Quaker State Buick sit here trying to get that right front brake caliper fixed, guys.
And Jerry, that'll necessitate him starting at the rear of the pack now as a result of coming in and working on the car on the pace laps.
Yeah, we were going to mention that the 71 car of Dave Marcus, scheduled to go 24th, would go to the rear of the field because he had a crash in practice yesterday, but he will start next to the last because Brett will go to the rear of the field. Jeff Bodine in the Budweiser Ford will carry one of our in-car cameras here this afternoon. That, of course, is the Junior Johnson prepared car. Hut Strickland has one of our in-car cameras also in that number 12 car, and he will have some telemetry for us later. And on top of the number 66, the Phillips 66 car will be Chuck Bound, our roof cam operating on that machine today.
And Lake Speed was relieved of driving that car this week, and Chuck Town has taken over. It's been announced that Jeff Gordon, I think, will drive that car next year.
It's a .625-mile oval here in North Wilkesboro. The pole speed was 116.8. The time, 19.252 seconds. We'll go 400 laps, and the field is separated by a little over 6/10 of a second. 400 laps of competition here today, and it is indeed a historic making race because Harry Gant can win his 5th consecutive event here this afternoon. He starts from the pole, and we're about to go green at North Wilkesboro. The race is on.
Gant led the last lap at Martinsville last week. He leads the first lap here at North Wilkesboro this weekend.
And we're riding with Jeff Bodine. Jeff is 16th. He's got Dale Earnhardt right ahead of him.
Heavy traffic beside of him. Rick Mast goes up on the outside of him as he follows Earnhardt. There's Bill Elliott. He's been caught on the outside there for quite a while and just can't seem to get back in. Now he finds a position behind Morgan Shepherd.
Elliott falls back to 9th spot, still maintaining a high line on the racetrack. There's Harry Gant, who's pulled out about 5 car lengths ahead of Davey Allison. Then comes Alan Kulwicki, Mark Martin, Ernie Irvan, Dale Jarrett, Rusty Wallace, Morgan Shepherd, Bill Elliott, and Ken Schrader. Here's the action that Jeff Bodine is involved in. That's his teammate, 22 Sterling Marlin beside him. Joe Ruttman also in there, along with Michael Waltrip and Terry Labonte.
And Ricky Rutt, Bob. And he really doesn't want to be in that much traffic here this early in the race, really at any time of the race, because he knows it's very easy for something to happen, but he's got to run in there and run hard, or he'll get lapped if he starts backing off out of that traffic.
Jeff Bodine is having some serious problems trying to get around the racetrack. If you look in from inside his car, many cars were passing. Sterling went by. Joe Ruttman. Now Michael Waltrip went by on the outside. Just a moment ago, Bodine was behind Earnhardt. Now Earnhardt has about a full straightaway on Jeff Bodine's car.
Now Brett Bodine did start in the rear. He did get back out on the track before the green flag fell. He has passed 4 cars and is now running at 29th position.
Here's Dale Jarrett in car 21 and Ernie Irvan in car number 4. This is the battle for 5th position.
They both have been all over Mark Martin for the last few laps. Now Mark is pulled away by about a car length over Ernie Irvan, but Jarrett has stayed very close on Ernie Irvan.
Dale took a look on the inside. Ernie came down, blocked the spot.
Rusty Wallace following behind Morgan Shepherd. Now here comes Ken Schrader and Bill Elliott as Elliott tries to take that spot away from Ken.
Elliott's car is trying to work on the outside, Ned. He needs to be on the inside, but
he has been going pretty high. Danny, don't know if the car's pushing a little bit or just what the situation might be. But here's Jarrett now trying. He's got a nose up alongside of Ernie Irvan. He sees Morgan Shepherd coming back there, so he figures he better try to get on in there and move up a little bit.
Morgan Shepherd will come right up on the back bumper of Dale Jarrett. Dale to the inside has 5th position as they cross the line, but Ernie Irvan making a battle of it going into turn 1, and now he pulls slightly ahead.
I tell you, it's tough when you get down on that inside. That's the preferred groove, but once you get down there, you don't get to make the line that you want to going into the turns, and as a result, you can't go quite as fast, but Jarrett does make the pass, and here comes Morgan Shepherd against that inside groove as well.
So Jarrett moves to 5th position, and now the battle for 6th spot is between Morgan Shepherd in 15 and Ernie Irvan, while Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina, The sensational 51-year-old is leading the early stages of the Tyson Holly Farms 400 from North Wilkesboro. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Chevrolet, the heartbeat of America, the cars more people depend on. By Quaker State, the Big Q is one top motor oil. And by Goodyear, the unanimous choice of every NASCAR Winston Cup team. We're 14 laps into the 400 lap. Tyson Holly Farms 400. Gant leads. We'll be right back. Agnes Faye Allen from 4 Oaks, North Carolina. Well, Harry's beginning to open it up, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He's moving away.
Nothing has changed. Harry again pulled out to about a 15-20 car length advantage.
And we jump inside Hut Strickland's car as we see Earnhardt just ahead. And over to the left is Bobby Hamilton, currently the leader in rookie points. Now Hamilton slips in ahead of Hut.
Dale Jarrett and Morgan Shepherd have both passed Mark Martin. Jarrett running 4th now, Shepherd 5th. Martin has dropped back to the 6th position.
And here is Earnhardt. Jimmy Spencer in car number 98.
It's like Earnhardt's dispensed of that traffic, and I thought a while ago that Earnhardt was having problems, but I can see right now that that traffic was just simply holding him up, because once he passed Spencer in a lap, he went by 3 car lengths. Got him looking at 3 car lengths.
Earnhardt is currently in 12th position. Remember, he started 16th, was the fastest second-day qualifier. And here's the group of cars behind him. Now ahead of him is Bill Elliott at number 9 and Darrell Waltrip in car 17.
Of course, Darrell won the race here in the spring. Has won a lot of races here in North Wilkesboro, as a matter of fact.
As a matter of fact, he's been in victory lane 10 times at this facility. The most recent, as Ned mentioned, in the spring of this year.
Darrell's got his car working well on the inside. Bill's still not able to get that course forward on the inside. And there goes DW.
Waltrip trying to take over 10th spot. As a position coming out of turn 4.
He qualified 8th, as Bob Gibbons told you just a moment ago. And here comes Rick Mass down pit road. The Skull Classic Oldsmobile on pit road, and John Kernan is there.
A bit of smoke from the rear. It looks like a Rick Mass car. They will look underneath. Now, one concern that they had after yesterday's practice, they thought they broke the ratchet in the rear end, so they put in a new rear end. I thought that might be the problem at first, but now they have gone under the hood, possibly an oil leak, as they go to work under the hood of the Skull Classic Oldsmobile. Rick sitting patiently on pit road now. Wrench is out. Yes, it looks like possibly one of the lines from the oil cooler going back has worked its way loose. The work continues down here.
Rick Mass was looking for his first top 10 finish here at North Wilkesboro. He started at this facility 5 different times. Here's Hut Strickland and Jimmy Spencer now involved in a duel.
And Strickland takes that spot away from Spencer. Remember back in April when we were here, Jimmy Spencer in that Bank of Frozen Food Chevrolet. Had it not been for a late caution flag, I felt I could have won that race, or would have won that race that day.
Strickland 15th, Jimmy Spencer 16th.
Harry Gant is about to, as Rick Mass goes out of the pits, Harry Gant is about to come up on some heavy traffic. Of course, there's heavy traffic all the way around the racetrack, it looks like, as Brett Bodine tries to move on the inside of his brother, Jeff Bodine. And there's Kyle Petty and Michael Walter running side by side, so there's not a whole lot of room for Jeff and Brett or Jeff, either one, to move up. Jeff continues to go backwards. Ooh, Jeff. Brett almost had a notion to make a 3 deep there, but he knew that wasn't the smart thing to do, so he just let Michael go on by. Now he goes on the inside of Kyle Petty.
The Quaker State car, which ran well last weekend, appears to be okay after that early problem that put him on pit road just before the green flag drop.
He's had a tough chore to try to come up through the field from the last position that he started in, and Harry Gant is only about a quarter of a lap behind him.
Here comes Harry beginning to lap now. The slower cars. Jimmy Means in car number 52 is being lapped.
The Alka-Seltzer Oldsmobile it is. Gant's car really getting a bite off these turns, maybe similar to what he did last week at Martinsville.
Well, it's absolutely amazing.
It is. When watching qualifying on Friday, you could actually see the car visibly better coming off the corners. It was that good.
That's the key on the short track, is getting that traction off the turn, not spinning sideways, and getting the tires all heated up.
While Gant moves to the slower traffic, we have good battles going on behind him. Schrader and Wallace are now battling for position. This is for 8th. And Dale Earnhardt continues to move up, passing Darrell Waltrip, and that's for 10th spot.
So Earnhardt is on the move, started 16th. He's up to 10th.
The 66 car, driven by Chuck Bound, being lapped now by Harry Gant.
Top Arctic Pontiac, Dale Yarborough Motorsports.
As we watch Harry Gant go down in turn 1, Davey Allison in the Hamlin Star Ford has gotten closer to Harry Gant. I'm not sure that he's outrunning Harry. I can't really tell if it's traffic that's holding Harry up or if Davey is in fact is faster than Harry at this point.
A great shot from the roof of the Phillips 66 car. North Wilkesboro, North Carolina for Winston Cup Racing, and we completed 35 laps with Harry Gant out in front. Plug Grand Prix IndyCar race from Nazareth, Pennsylvania, of course, will be on 1 o'clock next Sunday afternoon here on ESPN. We're going to give you a field summary, and we're going to try to do this about every 15 minutes or so, making sure that you know where your driver is running in this Tyson Holly Farms 400. Harry Gant is that number 33 car that is lapping the slower traffic. He is in a bunch of traffic right now. Just put a lap on the number 19 car of Chad Little, sneaking up on the 42 of Kyle Petty now.
Meanwhile, Richard Petty is trying to follow Harry through all that traffic. And there he goes by Kyle Petty on the outside. Now he's on the outside of Spencer. Look, when we came back from commercial break, the 28 car was just a car length or so behind Harry. Now he's up in all that heavy traffic. Gant's clear of it. He probably will be 15 car lengths in front of Davey by the time Davey fights his way through.
Yeah, he's got some clear sailing there now for 8 or 10 laps. But I guess for the next car, which would be Rick Wilson. And Davey has to fight all that traffic. Alan Kowicz is still running third. He's coming in that traffic. Dale Jarrett, Morton Shepard, not far behind Alan Kowicz. So, yeah, they got their work cut out for them.
Let's go to Jerry Punch on pit road.
Goodyear Tire people run a very different race tire here than they ran back in the spring, and a lot of the crews were concerned that although the tire may be very quick in qualifying, after about 40 laps, they may have their hands full. So we've just passed the 45 lap mark, and that's where Harry Gant expected to be able to exert some muscle. Dale Earnhardt likewise felt when the tires began to get slick, he would begin to make his move, and indeed, he's already climbed into the top 10. And a lot of crews here concerned about their cars getting very loose. Among them, Bill Elliott and Mark Martin, whose cars are not handling nearly as well as they would like.
All right, thank you, Jerry. There's Davey Allison, who slid up a little bit there in turn number 2. Still maintains second position, however, as we let the field go through the shot here. Coming off of turn 2, there are some of the new grandstands that have been built here at North Wilkesboro. And again, it's been amazing, some of the improvements that we've seen here at North Wilkesboro. This is our 20th event. There's Harry Gant. This is our 20th telecast from North Wilkesboro. We've been here more than at any other racetrack on the Winston Cup circuit. As a matter of fact, it's our 130th telecast of Winston Cup racing since we began this thing a little more than 10 years ago. There's Alan Kowicki and 21 Dale Jarrett, along with the 98 car, but they're lapping the 98 car.
That's third, fourth, and fifth. Kowicki third. Dale Jarrett is fourth, and the 15 car, Morgan Shepard, the red car right behind those two, the fifth place car.
Well, Dave, see Jimmy Spencer there in the Banquet Chevrolet, fellas. You know, back in the spring here, he was the class of the field for a good while. Led a good portion of that race, but apparently just didn't quite get him hooked up as well today.
John Kernan has more on that story from pit road.
Well, Dan, I was talking with Jimmy this morning, and I said, you know, Jimmy, you got to feel pretty good about running this race today after the way you ran in the spring and finished third. But he said, no, not really. Jerry talked about a different Goodyear radial here. He just hadn't got the setup right. They pulled it off the truck with the same setup they had in the spring. The car didn't run. It didn't run that well yesterday afternoon in practice. This morning, they were working like a pack of mad dogs, you might say. They were changing springs, sway bars, anything they could think of, Travis Carter and the crew. And Jimmy said either they were going to hit it and be really great today, or they were really going to stink up the place.
And John, they spun the car. Jimmy spun the car yesterday morning in practice, did some sheet metal damage on it. They had some extra work to do in that respect, but he's not quite right here yet today.
What kind of pack of, what's that, dogs?
Pack of mad dogs, didn't he say?
Well, I've worked with Travis Carter before. That's pretty good, John. I'll agree with that.
Here's Morgan Shepherd sneaking up now on Dale Jarrett.
And the leader is in heavy traffic again. Here he is on the outside of the Rick Wilson car. There's Cut Strickland's getting a little bit loose in car number 12. Gant had to back off. There's Terry Labate up into car number 94, the Snowco's mobile. Gant, you see, just completely backed out of that. He didn't want to get up there and take any unnecessary chances.
He didn't want that high line. Backed off, got behind Wilson, and now follows him into the first and second turns below Cut Strickland. And that's who's carrying our in-car camera, of course.
Strickland's car is extremely loose this afternoon. He's having to run that high groove. See where he's running up there? He has driven the car, but trying to find the grip to get their car around the racetrack. So he could go to the bottom of the racetrack now, but he chooses to go up high again, up to that gray area where there's a little more traction.
He's running 23rd, so 22 cars now remain on the lead lap as Harry Gant continues to mow them down. 55 laps complete.
Harry Gant has been the story all week long, right, Jerry?
Indeed he has, Bob. You know, in the driver's meeting takes place in every NASCAR race 2 hours before the race begins. Harry Gant was in his seat 2 hours and a half before the race began. He was the first driver to sit in the meeting. And as each driver came up to sit down, they all leaned over and rubbed his arm, his back, his hair. Rick Wilson rubbed against him, so did Michael Walton. They all wanted to rub a little bit of luck off. In fact, Dale Earnhardt may have been the funniest of all. He walked into Harry, looked him right in the face, and said, now, every time you lap me today, you at least wave and you go by.
You know, this is something I've been waiting for a while to say, but do you think we would offend Harry or hurt anybody if we called Harry the Sara Lee of Winston Cup racing? Remember the commercial that nobody doesn't like Sara Lee? Nobody doesn't like Harry Gant. He's everybody's friend. The 26 car of Brett Bodine, after an early problem, is moving up quickly through the field. He's already up to 12th position. He started last.
I tell you, that's impressive, fellas. He has passed a lot of good cars. He's right up on Darrell Waltrip right now. We saw Darrell was going pretty good a while back, and now Brett Bodine is coming up on him. So he has made an impressive run through this field.
There he goes alongside DW down in turn one. Rest assured, Darrell knows he's there. He's not going to come down, but Chad Little also right in front of him, so Darrell Waltrip will go by Chad Little. Brett has to back out, and he'll follow Darrell by the Tyson Ford
up on the high side.
And Darrell slipped up.
Brett went between them.
He snuck in there. But that shows how good his car is. It took about, 50 yards to go right by Darrell, and Chad Little almost got by Chad Little in the same move.
Kids were watching practice here yesterday afternoon, and I told some people, they are always asking, who's got a good chance tomorrow? Of course, we had to say Harry Gant because his car was strong in practice, and I also said Brett Bodine. Watch for him because he's going to be good. And if he had not had to start in the rear, he might be up there challenging Harry Gant for the lead right now.
Well, Derry Cope pulls the Purelator Chevy behind the wall with a rear end or transmission problem of some kind. Well, here's Ricky Rudd getting lapped. Rudd goes a lap down.
And Bill Elliott also going a lap down. Boy, this has to hurt Rudd a little bit as far as the point situation. There's a man in second place, 59 points behind, already a lap down here with less than 100 laps completed. In fact, only 64.
You know that when Harry Gant went by, that just a little bit of Ricky Rudd's heart went with him. It just fell down to the bottom of the race car because he did not want that to happen. He's 20th place, but a lap down, there's no way in the world he's going to get that good finishing position. Back by Harry. And look, who's going to pass Harry again?
Doesn't look like anybody is going to today. Let's just hope he doesn't turn this into a boring race. That's all I hope. Right now, Gant is the leader of the Tyson Holly Farms 400 from North Wilkesboro.
Hello again.
Around the world, around the year, with more than 1 million miles of award-winning auto racing coverage. ESPN Speed World today in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina for the Tyson Holly Farms 400. And from our helicopter high above, the cars circulate the 69th lap of this race, and Harry Gant in car number 33 is the leader.
But he's run across a couple of cars that do not want to go a lap down. Michael Waltrip in the yellow 30, the Pennzoil Pontiac. Sterling Marlin, the Maxwell House Ford, number 22. He's been following these guys for about 3 laps. He's much faster, but he just simply can't get by. Look, there's Rick Wilson still on his back bumper, and he passed him a little bit ago.
Look how quickly that car shot up beside Sterling Marlin.
Yeah, once Sterling made just a little bit of a slip, gave him a little opening down on the inside. That's all Gant needed, so he slipped up on the inside of him. Now he'll hope Michael Waltrip does the same thing when he goes into turn 3, but Michael didn't. He drove deep into the turn, stayed down on the inside. So now Michael trying to move around the car of Bobby Hamilton. Bobby having a good run here today as well.
That's the battle for 16th spot there between 30 and 68. But now Gant.
There again, look at him come up off that corner. Boy, he just accelerates. The car turns and he's motored away.
And now he laps Michael Waltrip.
And Michael Waltrip is running 16th position. So now only 15 cars in the lead lap.
Mr. September, what a story.
Won $410,000 so far during the month of September. We haven't mentioned yet that if he wins this race here this afternoon, in addition to the race purse and, of course, all of the outstanding publicity he will get, he will collect that Unicount bonus money, which right now stands at $144,400. We've been talking about Hutch Strickland in car number 12 and how he hasn't been exactly on the pace here in the early going. He's in 25th position. Let's ride with him and watch the telemetry. You see he's in 4th gear on the bottom right, the RPM in the upper right, miles an hour, of course, and the accelerator.
Coming off the second corner. Down into turn 3, got up to what, 108 miles per hour?
111 one time he shot up to there, Benny. That's pretty good up the backstretch.
Down to 65 miles per hour. Down that low. And you can see only 101 miles per hour in turn 1.
And that's a little surprising. A lot of people would have thought that downhill on the front straightaway here that they would have run faster, but that means he didn't get off of number 4 nearly as good as he did off of number 2, and that affected his speed on the straightaway.
Down to 4,600 RPMs in the middle of the corner. And we can see him just fighting that wheel as he comes off the corner.
Ill-handling race car. Morgan Shepherd and Dale Jarrett here, 4th and 5th position.
Morgan just passed Jarrett for the 4th position. They've been running pretty close together since the start of the race, really. Morgan caught Jarrett some traffic and motored around him. Right up in front of them is Alan Quick. He's right in the middle of a big pack of traffic. There are some ill-handling race cars out there, fellas. These are not necessarily any of them, but as Morgan Shepherd and Dale Jarrett's car seems to be working well. But some of these cars that have been lapped, there's Jimmy Spencer. He's having some problems, and his problems might not be the chassis, John Kernan. How about it?
On Jimmy Spencer, as we talked earlier, he thinks that the ratchet is broken. The car does not want to turn when he's in the turns. In other words, it's not locking upright. So that's the problem. And we also saw him just a little while ago. He slid up in the 4th turn, almost hit the wall. Don't know if that's when he broke it or by hitting the wall or if it broke right before then.
You would think with a broken ratchet, that means that only one wheel is pulling. You'd think the car would be trying to spin out. But I don't really know why the car would be plowing or not wanting to turn.
In any case, he has a handful as Dale Earnhardt now comes into the picture. He is 7th, or rather in 8th position, and Ken Schrader is 7th.
So Earnhardt come from his 16th position up to the 8th. Now working on the 7th place man off Ken Schrader, who's on the inside. Looks like he's going to take that position pretty easy.
And Ricky Rudd, meanwhile, who is second in the Winston Cup point standings currently, is running 19th. Earnhardt goes by Schrader.
And Rudd is a lap down.
Earnhardt's car is not bad. It's a pretty good race car this afternoon. I'd like to see he, Harry Gant, and Brett Bodine get hooked up. I think we could see a very interesting race.
You know, Earnhardt thought he had a shot at the pole here on Friday afternoon. Went out and qualified and was 28th fastest. But he still was only about a third of a second behind the pole winner. But he said he didn't know what happened. He just didn't run fast.
And there is Bodine sneaking up on Schrader and Earnhardt. Brett was the pole winner here in the spring and the lap leader, as a matter of fact, and he won at North Wilkesboro in 1990. So this is a good track for Brett Bodine. Right with Chuck Bound. Look at this. Look at Earnhardt and Schrader now in this traffic jam, and Mark Martin.
That's what Brett Bodine is looking at ahead of him. About 6 cars there running side by side.
And Earnhardt just went by Mark Martin last lap. Also, Schrader was able to get by. So Earnhardt is definitely on the move.
Bodine has caught this group of cars.
And you're right, so is Brett Bodine, because he has caught Dale Earnhardt.
Martin wiggling coming off the corner.
Boy, Bodine, Brett has really made a good run up to the field. Another fellow that's made a good run is Joe Rutt. He's currently being shown 15th, but he's not too far ahead of Harry Gant. We watched his battle here. He's the last car on the lead lap.
Mark Martin in car 6, the defending champion of this event. Kept his championship hopes alive last year by taking the victory here, but he loses the position there to Brett Bodine. And Brett is now 8th.
There goes Earnhardt. Won by the 22 car of Sterling Marlin. And here comes Brett Bodine. He closes up right on the back bumper of Schrader. This guy, I think this car is as fast as Harry Gant.
Yeah, I agree with you, Benny. I think he is too. He is hooked up. And he has got to come through all that traffic without the benefit of the move-over flag at the start-finish line. The flag, when you lap a car, of course, they give the car that you're lapping the blue flag with the yellow stripes, which is the passing flag. And Brett has come up through there and passed those cars without the benefit of that flag.
Well, Brett had to move out of the inside line because Sterling Marlin was down there. Now he's kind of betwixt and between. I think he may follow Schrader here to the outside of Sterling Marlin. There is the leader, Harry Gant. And the interval back to 2nd position. Davey Allison. 3rd is Alan Kulwicki. With 89 laps completed in this 400 lapper here in North Wilkesboro, we've been green all the way, and the green car of Harry Gant is leading the way. We'll be right back. The first caution of the afternoon waves over North Wilkesboro Speedway as Joe Ruttman in car number 75, that Intervale Oldsmobile, spun up in turn number 3, bumped the wall, and then slid to the inside of the track. He has the car going again.
Well, that's too bad. We were just talking about him a moment ago. Was having a good run here today. He was running. He had moved up to 14 right before this happened. Let's see. It happened right behind Harry Gant. And
Rick
it looks
Wilson,
like,
I believe.
Yeah, Rick Wilson might have clipped Ruttman just a little bit down on the inside. Sent him spinning around. There's Wilson coming into the picture now, and he backs into the wall. And pit road is already open, I guess, and Harry Gant is already down pit road.
Jerry Punch is in Harry Gant's pit.
And at 35 miles per hour, Gant will bring the Skull Oldsmobile down for what will be their first pit stop of the day. The car really hooked up here for the early part of the race. Remember, their crews so quick in Martinsville. Every time they were on pit road, they were among the fastest of the crews in changing 4 tires. Andy Petrie has already changed his right side tires. He comes around to the left rear. Plugged up going on. Charlie Presley getting ready to pull the jack. Just in front again, the Kodiak car of Ken Schrader. Other cars spinning on pit road. Dale Earnhardt here in the Goodrich Chevrolet getting service now as he gets his 4 tires put on. Dale Jarrett is here, and Alan Kulwicki moves down. And Morgan Shepard. Earnhardt's Goodrich crew have a little bit of trouble with the right rear. Away with the Goodrich car headed back to turn 1.
Alan Kowicki beat Davey Allison out of the pits. Allison was pitted at the very end of pit road, and all the pits, by the way, are located here on the main straightaway. We'll take a break and be back with more of the Tyson Holly Farms 400. Sunday Night Baseball tonight. Yellow is out at North Wilkesboro because of a crash involving Joe Ruttman over in turn number 3. A couple of cars remain on pit road. Sterling Marlin, the Maxwell House Ford, still on pit road. But most everybody else is on the racetrack as we get set to go green in a couple of more laps. Once again, here's how to enter the ESPN Pick the Winning Chevy Sweepstakes. Call 1-900-933-9300 before the halfway lap. And then stay tuned to see which car is the first Chevy to finish the race. If your entry is selected and you have given the correct Chevy winner, you will win your choice of any Chevy Lumina, including the fabulous C34. The track crew remains out there, making sure the track is ready for high-speed action while we remain under yellow. We'll be back in just a moment.
Back at North Wilkesboro Speedway for the Tyson Holly Farms 400. The first caution flag of the day brought out by Joe Ruttman and his Dinner Bell Oldsmobile being served in the garage area. Joe's still sitting in the car. Joe, what happened out there?
Just racing incident, I guess. But what really affected us is we run over the curb. It knocked the fitting off the oil cooler. With no oil to the motor, it's pretty tough to run, and that's really what wounded us the most.
So the crew working on the car, Joe's still sitting in, and we're getting ready to go back to the green flag very shortly, guys.
And there is the replay of the crash that sent Joe to the wall.
We can see Rick Wilson had tried to go on the inside. He saw Ruttman coming down, and you could almost see Rick Wilson trying to get out of there. But he was not quite able to get out quick enough and just tapped Joe in the left rear quarter, and around he went. There's Bill Elliott coming in, and we see Ernie back there with a big hammer knocking up the rear spoiler, trying to put some more weight on those rear wheels.
Yeah, he's been in just about every lap. He and Sterling Marlin, different ones, have been in, really making a lot of adjustments on these race cars.
Well, he is one lap down in 29th position. We'll make that 28th spot. Elliott rolls back out onto the racetrack, and the field is being given the signal of one more lap to go. Look at the crowd. These grandstands all have been built really since we came here 10 years ago, and you can see the tremendous crowd that's turned out here for this event here this afternoon. Yeah, Harry is from only about 12 miles down the road in Taylorsville, and there are a lot of fans here today rooting for Harry.
Well, that'd be the way the crow flies across there. I drive back and forth there each day coming to North Wilkesboro, and it's a little bit farther than that the way I go.
No, we're not going green. The yellow is still being displayed. Apparently, the NASCAR observers have spotted something.
And Joe Ruttman, he said he knocked the fitting off his oil cooler. He rode around the racetrack, spurting oil all over the track, so we know it's going to be slick.
Yep. So they are rechecking the track for more oil on it. The caution remains out here at North Wilkesboro with 103 laps completed. More than a lap of green has been completed here. Harry Gant leads. Alan Kowicki now second, and Davey Allison third. Then comes Morgan Shepherd.
Watch him wiggle. Davey Allison almost spun out. All these cars wiggling badly as they come off turn 4.
Well, it's still slick up. That turn is normally slick, but I guess where that oil was put down by Joe Ruttman to put the quick dry down on there, and it's hard to get traction there for the moment.
Davey Allison almost spun coming off that last time, and we see he's falling back a few car lengths from
Alan Kowicki. Meanwhile, back of that group comes Dale Jarrett, the lap car, Rick Wilson, the 26 of Brett Bodine and Earnhardt.
Twelve cars on the lead lap now.
It's inside Hutch Strickland's rear. Augustus Buick. He's been running the high group all day. There's the telemetry inside the car. He got up to 110 miles per hour, down to about 75. Now he's accelerating up the back straightaway. 114 miles per hour.
Now that's a good bit faster than when we checked him before because he has new tires on now, getting a better grip coming off the turns, which shoots him down the straightaway faster.
Oh, Spencer spins down the front straightaway. And is sitting there, and the caution flag is out.
Jimmy Spencer.
Oh, it's coming out. He's going to stay in the lead, or not in the lead lap, but he's not going to lose another lap, I should say. Gant slowed down as he came off the turn. Let Spencer go.
The Banquet Frozen Food Planters Peanut car spins here on the main straightaway, bringing out our second caution flag of the afternoon on lap 110. We're already more than a fourth of the way through this event.
Davey Allison's car looked like it might have been struggling a little bit. Let's see if he makes a pit stop and makes some adjustments. They've only been racing on the green now just a few laps, but
well, it would be a good bit of track position to give up if he does come in, but it wouldn't be as bad as it could have been since there are only 12 cars in the lead laps. Jerry Punch, how about it?
I would not expect to see Davey pit. I mean, you said it, Ned. Track position is so important here at Wilkesboro. He commented a minute ago when he slipped up in turn 4 on the radio that he thought he hit something slick on the racetrack there. It had been some speedy dry up there, and for the first lap or so when the cars came through, they all were slipping and sliding just a little bit up there. But Davey Allison will not pit now. He will stay out under this caution flag. One of the second caution flag of the day at the Wilkesboro Speedway as Harry Gant shows the way. More after this.
Green has just gone out again on lap 114. We're back to racing here at North Wilkesboro. Harry Gant opening up a 3-4 car length advantage.
Well, they're all slipping and sliding up turn 4. I saw Jimmy Hensley that time get sideways, and Davey Allison makes contact with Irvin.
Oh, they almost spun out as they made that contact. Now,
look out.
What is going on?
Look out.
The cars are all jammed up behind them.
Davey slid high coming out of turn 2, and Ernie Irvin got beneath him, and then they collided.
And then they went into turn 3 and 4 and just slowed down. I don't know, and that really did jam them up behind them. Take a look at it again as Davey was on the outside of Ernie Irvin.
What happened was Davey got sideways and had to come down to try to save the car and ran in the side of Ernie Irvin's car.
Well, you can see why Ernie Irvin slowed so much going into turn 3, because he was almost out of control, and he slowed it down to get back into control, so that jammed everything up behind him.
He was at almost a 90-degree angle and saved it. There's your leader, Harry Gant. Has led all the way so far. Started on the pole. Hasn't been challenged yet. But Wiki is second. That third car there, the 24, is Jimmy Hensley. He's not on the lead lap.
He is in 13th position. One lap down. He had just been lapped before that first caution came out. Davey Allison still trying to get around Ernie Irvin. He on the inside of him now, coming off of turn 2. That's where they were about to get in trouble a little bit ago.
Ooh, and Irvin comes down and blocks that spot.
Cuts him off.
Davey had to go to the infield.
Now Ernie's a lap down. He is being shown in the 14th position.
And I can see Ernie, I'm sure, is not happy about that incident over there a little bit ago, but Davey Allison, I mean, he did not hit Ernie intentionally. He lost control trying to save the car, came down and ran in the side of Ernie. And looking back at it, Ned, Davey Allison probably would have been better off to have pitted and fixed the car on the last caution flag.
NASCAR officials have told both the 28 and the 4 crews to tell their drivers to cool it. They have issued a warning to both drivers. They run side by side again coming out of turn 2.
Well, everybody's going to get to see if anything happens. We're looking straight in on it as they go into turn 3, still side by side.
You can see the damage here on the right side of Irvin's car, just in front of the rear wheel. And now Allison gets around Ernie Irvin.
There he finally makes it. Boy, it takes off once he gets in front of him.
Davey is third. Now here comes the 15 car of Morgan Shepherd, who is 4th.
Well, he'll have to fight with Irvin. I expect Ernie will give him the room that he needs out there. Yeah, Morgan just moves by on the outside. There's Rick Wilson, the lap car, and then Brett Bodine got by Dale Jarrett up there in that little skirmish between the 4 car and the 28 car a little while ago. So Brett Bodine is running 5th, Dale Jarrett is 6th, and Dale Earnhardt is 7th. And 8th place, and Mark Martin. Dennis Rader is 9th. Jeff Bodine is 10th. Darrell Waltrip 11th, and Rusty Wallace is 12th. Those are the only 12 cars on the lead lap.
Rusty Wallace running 12th, as Ned said. It seemed like he had a problem trying his pit stop. His first pit stop, he went in running about 6th or 7th and came out in 12th spot. Finally, Morgan Shepherd almost by Ernie Irvin.
Well, I tell you, it's tough to pass those good lap cars like Ernie Irvin and Rick Wilson running good here today. You get up on the outside of them there, you just have to tiptoe. Dale Earnhardt gets into Dale Jarrett a little bit coming off the turn 4. Jarrett was trying to move up on the outside of Wilson. And,
here's the field summary again. Your upper left while we watch the action on the racetrack. Jarrett and Earnhardt there are battling for that 6th position. Jarrett up high and Earnhardt down low.
Well, Jarrett will try to pin Earnhardt in behind Rick Wilson as they go into turn 1.
Successfully, too, I might add.
Reckon he heard me say that? No, he knew what to do.
Brett Bodine having trouble getting by Ernie Irvin in that Kodak Film Chevrolet.
I tell you, you just have to tiptoe by him up there on that outside. It is tough to pass a good car like that. Once Morgan Shepherd got around and Davey Allison, they just drove on away. But Brett Bodine having a problem there like Davey Allison did for a while getting around Ernie Irvin. Of course, Ernie's got some cars on his back bumper that are in the same lap as he is, so he's protecting position. Meanwhile, Harry Gant has just driven away from this whole crowd. He's about a half a lap ahead of the 5th place car.
Harry's just looking back there saying, go ahead and race for position, guys.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on my way to victory. Harry is just running all by himself. He doesn't have anybody either in front of him or in back of him to speak of. He's just on a Sunday afternoon drive.
Now, the only problem with that is, Bob, when you get that far ahead, you don't get a whole lot of airtime. The action is somewhere else.
That's right. There's where the action on the racetrack is. That's how far this group is behind Gant.
Brett Bodine finally just fenced himself with Ernie Irvin. Now Dale Jarrett gets by. Here's inside the 12 car, the Hut Strickland, Rebested Buick. Watching Darrell Walker get loose as he come off the second corner.
Show you the telemetry, RPM in the upper right, and the upper left is the miles an hour.
Joe Ruttman comes out of the garage area, comes back out on the track as we watch this action.
Car of Joe Ruttman. Repairs have been made. He's back out on the racetrack after a crash a few laps ago over in turn 3.
Here we watch this Christmas car once again, 100 miles per hour. On the brakes, the thing locked up that time. He would get up to probably that when you see 108 miles per hour. That's about right, 109.
Not quite as fast as before. As those tires heat up a little bit, he doesn't get the traction off the turn, so that doesn't shoot him down the straightaways quite as fast.
Well, we see Kerry Labonte in the Sunoco Oldsmobile on the inside of Hut Strickland.
Just ahead, Jeff Bodine, Michael Waltrip, Rusty Wallace. There on the far right is Darrell Waltrip, and on the far left.
Now, Rusty has moved up to 10th. Darrell has dropped back to 12th. Well, Rusty has moved up to 11th. Jeff Bodine is 10th. So that's 10th, 11th, and 12th we're watching. 11 car, the 2 car, and the 17.
I saw a fucking smoke from somebody. Which car was that? I just... I don't know. Like the left rear tire rubber or maybe something out of the exhaust. Might be a bump going off the second corner. Let's watch again if we can see. I didn't see it that time.
Didn't see it. Watch the 2 car. Maybe we can see this right in the middle of your screen. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Huh. It looked like he's pumping the brakes, and he's having a brake problem or something, because that was in the left front wheel area that we saw that puff of smoke. Maybe that's why they took so long on their pit stop a little bit ago. They were having a problem they were trying to fix in that left front area.
Derek Cope comes back out in the Purelator Chevrolet. He was the first car out of the race, but he's coming back in. Walter trying to go up on the outside. There's Derek Koch down on the inside. Darrell had tried to go up on the outside of Rusty going into that turn, but that didn't work.
Continue to watch this battle for 10th and 11th. And here comes Harry Gant through slower traffic once again.
Well, it didn't take him long to start mowing down the back part of the field, did it?
That's Ted Musgrave in number 55 that Harry has put another lap on.
Here's a battle for second.
Yeah, second place. Davey Allison to the inside of Alan Kowicki, and Allison goes to second. So Davey, after nearly crashing coming out of turn 2 a few minutes ago, has set sail and successfully passed Alan Kowicki for second position. But Harry Gant has quite a substantial lead on Allison and the rest of the field as we have completed 142 laps with all 33 cars still running. Four laps away from the halfway point. Call now to enter the ESPN Pick the Winning Chevy Sweepstakes. Call 1-900-933-9300 before the 200-lap mark. If your entry is selected and you have given the correct Chevy winner, you could win a new Chevy Lumina Z34. Stay tuned to see which Chevy finishes first in the Tyson Holly Farms 400.
The road cam from Truck Bounce, Gold 66 Pontiac. Watches Harry Gant ride by. There goes Joe Ruttman by.
After Joe came out, he has been running on Harry's bumper for about 15 laps. He's been staying right with him.
And Benny, you mentioned that puff of smoke from Rusty Wallace's car a few laps ago as he was battling for position. Well, Jerry, what's the deal? What was that?
Bob, let's check in with Eddie Dickerson, the crew chief. Eddie, we saw a little bit of smoke out of the left front of the car a minute ago. What's the problem?
That's not the problem right now. That's just a little bit of a grease coming out of the wheel bearing. The problem is Harry's running so good out there in front. We're probably about 3/10 off a lap, and track position here at Wilkesboro is so important. We came in and adjusted the car, took a rubber out of the left rear. We're a little loose. The car seems to be turning on the right front, making the car loose off the corner. So we're just trying to stay alive right now. Car's driving good. We're just trying to keep in front of Harry, not get that dreaded lap down.
Well, a little bit of a handling problem with the Rusty Wallace, and the smoke, guys, was just a little bit of grease coming out of the left front wheel bearing. Hopefully no major problem there.
Well, there was smoke on the number 2 car there, too, because he was rubbing with Jeff.
That's right. There was a lot of smoke that time. It was tire smoke as he laid up against the sheet metal on the 11 car.
And Eddie Dickerson was right. They know where Harry Gant is on the racetrack, and he's only about a quarter of a lap behind this threesome that we were watching, the Darrell Walters car, and Darrell's pulled away a little bit from Jeff Bodine and Rusty Wallace.
Rusty's on the inside of Bodine, and they make some contact. Once again, they make contact. Once again, they make contact.
And the understatement of the year was when Eddie said that Harry Gant is running well. What do you think of that statement?
Oh, man. This is unbelievable.
Come on, guys. You've been in this business and been involved in this business a much longer time than I have. Why can a car in the middle of the season or in the late part of the season come to 5 straight racetracks and be as good as Harry Gant's car has been the last 5 races?
I don't have any idea. If I did, I'd go sell it to somebody. Jerry Punch, you don't have the answer because you'd sell it. Do you have the answer?
Well, you know, I was standing in the truck this morning with Harry Gant, just chatting a little bit, and one of his sponsor reps, some of the reps from U.S. Tobacco, walked up and asked him that same question. They said, Harry, what is it? Is it car? Is it motor? Is it you? He said, Harry, is it the motor? Harry said, the motor is fair to middling. He said, well, how about the driver? Harry said, the driver is fair to middling. He said, is the race car? Harry said, the race car is outstanding. This is a race car that Leo Jackson bought from Banjo Matthews, but he took the car back to his shop, and he and Andy Petrie totally reworked the front end. They're afraid to get this car bent up, because if they take it somewhere to get it fixed, everyone will see what they've done. So it's their secret. And Harry said this car is just absolutely outstanding. It stays hooked up all afternoon. For more, let's go up to John Kernan.
Hey, Jerry, guys, you know what the worst part about this is, Harry Gant, the way he's been dominating the last few weeks? You know, I'll tell you what it is. Talking to some of the drivers, you can't get mad at the guy. The guy is out here, he's just beating them week in, week out, and they can't hate him. He is such a nice guy, and that's got to be really frustrating because you'd like to get angry at the guy, you know?
Well, I mean,
Harry Gant, they all try to congratulate him. He says, oh, shucks, it wasn't nothing. Jerry Punch, what else you got there?
And you know, Harry Gant may be 51 years of age, but he is some physical specimen. He talks about all those high school boys. He calls Michael Waltrip and Rick Wilson high school boys, and I can beat you high school boys, no problem at all. Harry Gant can walk on his hands one into the garage area to the other. He's the only man I know that can grab a 2x4 with the palm of his hands, with each palm, and do pull-ups forever. He is so strong. And you wonder why his neck is so strong? It's because back when he was doing sheetrock work, he would hold a sheetrock on his head while he would hammer it in the ceiling. He said, that makes your neck awfully strong. He's got to get weak. Let him go work on some sheetrock for a while.
Well, in any case, Harry is having it his way here this afternoon. But back of him, pretty good racing going on. Morgan Shepherd has moved to third. Brett Bodine fourth. Dale Jarrett is now fifth. And Alan Kowicki back to sixth place.
Dale Earnhardt still seventh. He's right behind Alan Kowicki now. The threesome of Shepherd, Bodine, and Jarrett had pulled away from Earnhardt until they caught Alan Kowicki. It took him a little bit to get by him, so that let Earnhardt close in. But now he has his problem getting by. Well, maybe it's not going to be a problem getting around Alan Kowicki. He just gets up there, gets on the inside, motors on by.
Earnhardt made an easy pass there coming down the front straightaway. So Dale Earnhardt now is sixth. And to keep you informed of the Winston Cup points battle, Ricky Rudd is in 19th position at the moment.
Now, we talked about Harry Gant hanging sheetrock and all those 2x4s. Last Sunday morning at Martinsville, last Monday morning, I went over to Taylorsville, North Carolina, and this is what Harry Gant does for relaxation. I mean, he built this building of his own hands. He put the roof on in the summertime. That's him cutting the boards. And, you know, I asked Harry Gant, why don't you relax? Why don't you go home and read the paper about your win?
Yeah, I would be building. I enjoy building. I love to build probably as much as I love to race, maybe even more to build something and stand back and look at it to get it done. It's just a great feeling to be able to have the talent to be able to build something. I was telling some press people at our press conference after we won the race at Dover that, you know, I've never considered myself to be a great race car driver by no means, but I always figured myself to be a super good carpenter. And one of the best carpenters, but not to say that I'm one of the best race drivers. I'm a fair race car driver. I do pretty good, but I am a good carpenter.
Can you imagine the guy say he's done a great race car driver? By the way, folks, that was part of a special that's going to air next Friday night on WCNC in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you're going to be down there for the race, 7:30 Friday night. Tune in.
Well, Harry Gant builds better houses and he's a race driver right now.
And trouble down. Ernie Irvin has spun and crashed down in turn one.
So for the third time today, the caution flag comes out. Ernie Irvin's car is sitting in the middle of turn number one up on the 14-degree banking here at North Wilkesboro. And Ernie Irvin, who was running in 14th spot, has crashed.
Kodak Film Chevrolet, a lot of damage to it. Irvin was third in the Winston Cup point standings coming into this race and still had a very good shot at the child. Not a very good, but he had a certainly mathematical shot at the tire.
The right rear tire is flat on that car. We can see the rim there. I don't know if he's cut a tire down. I noticed a little bit ago that contact he had with Davey Allison that it looked like the tire might have been rubbing the sheet metal, but I never saw any smoke. And here comes Harry Gant down pit road. Jerry Punch is there to call a pit stop. Jerry.
Well, Andy Petrie and crew waiting on their driver, and they're making sure. They reminded Harry just a moment ago on radio, Harry 35 miles per hour. Harry's sort of like the Maytag repairman, awfully lonely down here right now. He's the only one on pit road. And now Davey Allison makes his way down and others. And we're going to work on the right side of Harry's car, and they will change all four tires. Davey Allison comes by here again. Brett Bodine likewise will come by. Pit road now becoming very busy as Alan Kowicki is having his problems with tires a little bit ago. Now he's pitting up where John Kernan is.
I tell you, if anybody needed a caution flag, it was Alan Kowicki. They will take a round wedge out of the right rear. Four tires. They're going with scuff tires. Last pit stop, they put on sticker tires. Alan radioed in a few laps ago and said, hey, they're worn out. They're hoping it's scuffs, which have been heated up. On a few laps, they've hardened a little bit more, that they will be the ticket to run with Harry Gant.
A lot of chassis adjustments were made on some of the cars, but not Harry Gant. They put 4 new tires on and took off. He, of course, was first out of the pits easily. Now we see some other cars coming in. The 3-car of Dale Earnhardt came out in about 3rd position.
Yeah, he picked up a lot.
Davey Allison came out in 2nd spot. So under caution for the 3rd time because of Ernie Irvin's crash in turn number 1. Back after this. Well, pit stops have just been completed here at North Wilkesboro, and one of the most important aspects of a pit stop is that air wrench. One trick to speeding up the pit stop, well, that's a subject of this week's Track Fact.
Now, many of you fans have had this problem where you're changing a tire along the side of the road and you see how aggravating it can be to use one of these hand wrenches. Now, I could change this tire, answering your question, but we got to be off the air by dark. Now you appreciate how good the Winston Cup crews are changing tires at 11 seconds. They start out with one of these Ingersoll Rand air wrenches, then they buy a $60 socket, but it goes far beyond that. If you just use the socket the way you buy from the store and put a lug nut in it, it fits in very neatly. But when this socket is turning at 20,000 plus RPMs, this lug nut can get stuck, costing you valuable time in the pits. So what many of the crews will do is they will sort of doctor it themselves by getting a small spring, cutting the spring, bending a flange out on it, then they will insert the spring inside this socket. What you end up with, the finished product, is the socket, spring inside, so when you push this down on the lug nut on the tire, there's no way it can get hung inside. That could be the difference between an 11-second and a 15-second pit stop.
Well, I'd love to see him change a tire conventionally. Wouldn't you? It's going to take that long. Here's the green flag on lap 173. We're back to racing. And first, Allison second, then Earnhardt, Morgan Shepherd, and Alan Kulwicki, followed by Brett Bodine, Ken Schrader, Dale Jarrett, and then Mark Martin.
Davey Allison got his pit stops. He was able to adjust the race car. Now let's see if he has anything for her again. We can see there's nothing between he and the Skull Bandit but air.
Ernie Irvin, the most recent crasher here at North Wilkesboro. He's with Jerry Punch.
Ernie, they're working on the car behind us. What happened out there?
It just cut a right rear down or something, you know, come down a front straightaway. I felt the thing start to go down. Couldn't get slowed down before I got in turn one spun.
Do you think it may have happened with the bumping deal with Davey? You may have got some sheet metal pushed in, possibly?
Well, it could have been. I'm not real sure. You know, it just happened so quick. And, you know, we ran it off a long time after that, so I'm not sure if that's what it was or not.
Well, he'll go back. They're going to try to get the car fixed and get him out so we can try to collect as many Winston Cup points as possible. As you see, the car is up on jacks back here in the garage area.
Yeah, Ernie only 182 points away from the Winston Cup points lead coming into this race, and 123 behind Ricky Rudd in second spot.
Well, I thought maybe Davey Allison, after making some adjustments, could pull up on the back bumper of Harry again.
Harry's just moving away from Davey and Dale Earnhardt.
And Earnhardt can't catch Davey Allison. That 24 car of Jimmy Henson's running pretty good today.
Yeah, it is. Ricky Rudd, meanwhile, 17th now in the serial scoring.
Earnhardt was the big benefactor on that pit stop. He was running in sixth position, came out in third. Dale Jarrett was the big loser. He was running fifth and came out eighth.
You know, Harry, again, this is probably the easiest. No, I don't think. I'm not going to say anything. Forget it.
Here it is. Brett Bodine and Morgan Shepherd are banging wheels out there.
Brett tried to get underneath Morgan Shepherd coming off turn 4. As you said, made some contact. Both cars a little bit out of shape, but that's only normal for short track racing.
5th, 6th, and 7th here.
Here we see Brett on the inside trying to get alongside, and he did. Got alongside that left rear quarter panel.
Got some red paint on the green right fender of that 26 car.
And here's Kenny Schrader trying to move up on the outside of Brett Bodine. Schrader, we haven't seen that much of him today. He has been running in the lead lap and in the top 10, but couldn't quite. That wasn't a place to pass on the outside, I don't think.
As a matter of fact, Bobby Hamilton pulled up on the inside of Schrader like he was going to pass him. Brett, he's caught Morgan Shepherd one more time.
Meanwhile, Jarrett is to the inside of Bobby Hamilton.
You know, I said at the beginning of the show, if Harry Gant won 5 in a row, it'd be unparalleled in the modern era of Winston Cup racing. But I find out that Bobby Allison
did win 5 in a row back in 1971.
In the 46-race schedule.
In a 46-race schedule. So I was in the 29-race schedule, 30-race schedule we currently have.
Take you on a lap of North Wilkesboro on the top of Chuck Bounds, Phillips 66 Pontiac, as we show you the field summary.
Still 12 cars in the lead lap.
Here's a side cam. Oh, look how close he gets to that wall. It scares me a little bit.
Not that you didn't ever run it.
I know. I didn't realize I was that close until I hit it.
You know, we mentioned that this was Gant's first pole position in 126 races, his first since Bristol of '87. It's the first pole for car owner Leo Jackson since Michigan 1986. Guess who was driving?
BP.
Oh, yes, that's right. But here's the bumper off of the number 11 car. Yeah, Benny Parsons was the last to win a pole for Leo Jackson. Look at this.
And Tim Richmond beat me down in turn 1 as we watched the rear bumper. I tell you what, they have the black flag in hand. NASCAR has the black flag in hand. Now, if that thing doesn't fall off soon, they're going to have to black flag Jeff.
If it falls off, we'll have a yellow flag.
If it falls off, we'll have a yellow.
Yeah, they are black flagging him. He's in 12th position, but he's going to have to come in and have that bumper taken off.
That's too bad. He is the last car on the lead lap. Not affecting his speed that much.
Nope. And I think that's a piece of rubber or fiberglass. It's not a integral part of that car. We can see it waving away and realize it's not a piece of steel.
Jeff Bodine won this race back in 1989.
But they're about to get out another kind of a flag on him, and that'll mean that they'll stop scoring him if he doesn't come in.
Here he comes.
But he is coming in now, and John Kernan is there.
Jim Brewer and the crew awaiting the arrival. Jeff pulls in. They will go ahead and take this opportunity to fill up with fuel. You see they've got a hacksaw out. They saw that portion of the rear bumper away, and it didn't take very long. There you see. There's a souvenir. It'll probably wind up in someone's family room.
Didn't take very long, but he did go a lap down. Jeff Bodine goes from 12th on the lead lap to a lap down.
Here is Brett Bodine now trying to take over the 5th position from Morgan Shepherd. And there's Ken Schrader right there. He'd like to stick the nose of his Chevrolet under Shepherd's Ford. Shepherd pulls back up on the outside of Brett coming off of turn 2. Brett has the position now as they go into turn 3, but Morgan's still coming up on the outside. That'll leave it open down there for Schrader, and he's going to dive under there too.
Now the battle is for 6th between Schrader and Morgan Shepherd. There's Dale Jarrett watching all this. And the 11 car of Bodine comes in again because he was too fast coming down pit road until a stop-and-go penalty. He goes 2 laps down now.
Here goes Schrader. They've got Morgan Shepherd hung on the outside. Dale Jarrett follows Schrader. Darrell Waltrip, Martin.
And Rusty Wallace right back there too. All of those cars from the 5th position back through the 11th position. Really battling there.
We're only 7 laps from the halfway mark. The 11 car is being brought in again because he was too fast down pit road on his penalty.
Boy, I'll tell you. You know, when you have to make an unscheduled pit stop, it makes you mad, and then you just don't think about that speed. And
here he comes.
Then the next time you should have learned, but I guess you're still a little frustrated. Don't realize just how fast you're going. Okay, in for a stop and go. Here it goes again. Take it easy, Jeff. Don't go too fast. Don't have to come back in here again because he's already 3 laps down now.
That's right. Junior Johnson watching. Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace, and Morgan Shepherd now. Battle for position. 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Looks like the handle's gone away on Morgan Shepherd's car all of a sudden.
He's just having trouble keeping it down on the inside of the racetrack.
Just ahead, Schrader and Jarrett are nose to tail. Just ahead of the 25 5 is the 26 of Brett Bodine.
This is the point for you Joe Elliott fans. I noticed a moment ago as he went down the front straightaway, he's on 7 cylinders or 6.
Bill's already 2 laps down.
And the car is off the pace dramatically.
There's Gant. There's almost a half straightaway separating first and second. Action on the racetrack continues despite the fact that Gant is running away with things. We have some good racing going on for position. And now Dale Jarrett is in 6th and Ken Schrader back to 7th. Once again, it's Harry Gant leading the Tyson Holly Farms 400, looking for 5 in a row in Winston Cup. We'll be right back. We have just passed the halfway point of this Winston Cup race here in North Wilkesboro. All phone-in entries for this week's ESPN Pick the Winning Chevy Sweepstakes are now closed. The winner of the sweepstakes will be announced on our next broadcast. Call 1-900-933-9300 in 10 minutes, and you can enter the next ESPN Chevy Sweepstakes. Again, congratulations to Agnes Faye Allen from Fair Oaks, North Carolina, who was the most recent winner in our contest.
We just saw a graphic that said all 33 cars are still running. Well, the 4 car, the Kodak Film Chevrolet, is still in the garage area being worked on, but as soon as they complete repairs, he will be back on the track.
Of course, Derek Koch was in for a while, and Joe Ruttman, but both of them back out now.
Well, Top Rank Boxing returns to ESPN on Thursday night at 9 o'clock this week. 10-round bout featuring the light heavyweights, Todd Foster and Dwayne Swift. Join us Thursday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time for Top Rank Boxing here on ESPN.
There was a rumor going around you wanted to take on the winner. Anything to that?
Not this week. Oh, maybe if I trained for a couple of more weeks, I would be ready.
You'd be the only 6'5" lightweight out there, wouldn't you?
6'4", Benny.
6'4"? You're definitely a lightweight. Oh.
It's okay. I've got some things planned for you later in our broadcast that you're not aware of.
Kenny Schrader having a little bit of a problem with his Kodiak Chevrolet. Now Rusty Wallace. Darrell Walter passed him a little while ago. Now Rusty Wallace working on him as they come off of turn 2. They are battling for
8th spot.
8th spot.
Yep. Here's Rusty inside turn 4. Pontiac against Chevy here at the line. They're just about even. Schrader with a slight advantage headed for turn 1. Now pulls almost a half a car length ahead of Rusty Wallace.
Not too far behind them is Mark Martin and Morgan Shepherd. Martin currently being shown in the 10th position, Shepherd 11th, so 11 cars on the lead lap.
Now Rusty passed him.
Schrader, I think, backed off and let Rusty go, because that really truly makes more sense. These guys running side by side are going to slow down. You just can't run as fast when you're trying to run alongside someone as you can when you have the entire racetrack to work with.
Rusty Wallace won here in 1988.
That's Rusty in the black and gold, number 2. Kenny Schrader, white and green, number 25.
Now Dale Jarrett has caught Brett Bodine. Brett is running 5th. Jarrett is running 6th.
Brett Bodine with a strong performance last week on the short track at Martinsville, Virginia, came here this week with the question, do you have a shot at winning here at North Wilkesboro, Brett?
Well, I think we've got a shot. You know, anytime I pull in the gates here at North Wilkesboro here lately, it seems like we're real quick. You know, in the spring race, we sit on the ball and really dominated the race until we got taken out by a lap car. Hopefully we can come back here this fall and, you know, duplicate the situation and try to be in contention all day.
In the spring of 1990 here at North Wilkesboro, Brett recorded his first and only Winston Cup win in the Quaker State Buick.
And he is running good today, sitting there in 5th place in the Bernstein Quaker State Buick.
Harry Gant is in traffic.
Heavy traffic.
Yep, Spencer is ahead, so is Bill Elliott.
But went by Kyle Petty going in turn 3 the last lap. He's down in turn 1 now, going by Spencer. And there's Elliott. Elliott shouldn't be any problem because, as I said, he is on 7 cylinders, 6 cylinders.
Harry Gant has led every lap so far. We'll show the interval back to second place, Davey Allison. It really isn't that far.
No, Davey's staying in side of him.
Now we're going to show you field summary again. And while you watch it, the last time a driver led every lap in a Winston Cup race, as Harry has done so far today, was at Nashville in June of 1978. And Cale Yarborough was the winner. It was also done here in North Wilkesboro.
Yes, Darrell Derringer driving a Junior Johnson car. I think it was in 1967, maybe, that Darrell Derringer.
Oh, the King is in trouble in the backstretch.
And no caution flag yet.
That car got airborne.
No
yellow flag.
Nope.
That's he comes back out right in front of Bill Elliott and right behind Bill Elliott. Now the caution is out. There could be some debris on the racetrack. Davey Allison was right behind Bill Elliott.
Matter of fact, you can see some STP red over there on the backstretch. Some debris has come off of the King's car. And let's watch it again.
He makes some contact with Chad Little, and look how high Richard got in the air.
He almost got into the cockpit of Chad's car.
And then he hit that little paved strip and went back up in the air once again.
Well, this Tuesday, Richard Petty holds a major news conference at his museum, and there is considerable speculation as to what will be said there. It is believed that on Tuesday, Richard Petty will say one more year of competition in 1992. And then he will hang it up. We'll wait patiently for that announcement on Tuesday from Richard Petty.
There's the debris off of Richard Petty's car. You can see the Dayglow red and the blue. And Harry Gant will be coming into the pits, I expect.
What a month Harry Gant has had. Look at this money that he has won.
That's about as much as I've made in my life.
It's more than you made in your entire racing career.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah, look at this, $413,500 so far. Now, if he wins a race today, he's going to win the purse plus $144,400 in Unocal bonus money. Jerry, he's headed to you.
But it won't change Harry a bit. He's same old Harry Gant has been coming to racing for a number of years. He brings that car down pit road, and they will go to work once again. MVP3 and all the crew, having changed right side tires. Charlie Presley, the son of Bob Presley, a longtime short track ace in this part of the country. Of course, the brother of Robert Presley. They work now on the left side of the car. 4 tires for everyone. Up and down pit road. And once again, Dale Earnhardt's Goodrich crew doing a heck of a job to get him out very quickly. As Dale Jarrett and Morgan Shepherd's Ford teams begin to work on their cars. And Richard Petty's managed STP Pontiac makes his way down pit road.
Dale Earnhardt got out second, Allison came out third, and Kulwicki came out fourth. And that's the way they will line up for the restart of this race. There's Richard Petty going back out onto the racetrack just ahead of Darrell Waltrip. Look at this Unocal bonus money. $144,400.
Where that number comes from, $7,600 if the pole winner goes on and wins the race. If he doesn't, it carries over. It's carried over till it's accumulated to $144,400.
There are some of the Taylorsville, North Carolina people here in North Wilkesboro rooting for the leader, Harry Gant. Under caution at North Wilkesboro after 224 of 400 laps. Here are the top 5. It's Gant, Allison, Earnhardt, Kulwicki, and Brett Bodine. Our Speed World coverage of the Tyson Holly Farms 400 is being brought to you by Smooth Bush Beer and Easy Drinkin' Bush Light. And by Levi's Jeans for Men. An enthusiastic crowd anticipating the restart of this race. The signal has been given. The field begins to form 2 abreast behind the Pontiac pace car, and in just half a lap, we'll be going back to green.
You know, we've talked about the car, the 33 car, and just how good the car is, how good the engine is. I don't think we can give the crew enough credit, because we saw last Sunday at Martinsville, each and every time Harry Gant's crew won the race out of the pits. And today, once again, every time they made a pit stop, and that's 3 of them, they've won the race out of the pits.
And that is so important as the green flag waves again.
Looking to open up the advantage already, just in a half lap. Earnhardt back there in third, running beside Jimmy Hensley. Ricky Rudd, second in Winston Cup points, is 14th.
Rudd's car was lapped by Harry Gant early in the race. And he's been mired back in the pack and just simply cannot get to the front. Earnhardt's having a little trouble getting to the front too because, well, as a matter of fact, everyone's having trouble getting to the front.
To the absolute front, you're right.
Because no one has made it up there except that green and white, number 33.
Let's ride with Hut Strickland. He's inside of Kyle Petty.
Our telemetry system. Hut Strickland's car down the back straightaway. Oh, the foot cam.
There we go.
Left foot on the brake, off the gas. All right, take your foot off the brake. Play with the gas, play with it. Now go to the floor. Once again. Play with the gas, play with it. There you go to the floor. All that's done by feel. You have to know when the car can, when the accelerator can go to the floor.
Quite a dance that the drivers have to do.
Hood is currently being shown in, let's see, he's down the line a little further than I thought, 20th position. He is 3 laps down to the leader.
There's 5th, 6th, and 7th. Isn't that what we said?
Yep, Brett Bodine is 5th. Then Rusty Wallace and Ken Schrader. Michael Waltrip there on the left, and the yellow number 30 is a lap down. Michael being shown currently in 13th.
Rusty tries to drive in on the outside of Brett Bodine. I don't know. Looks like Brett's car doesn't have that muscle it had the first 100 laps of the race. Looks like he's lost the handle just a tick.
I think if Harry Gant wins this race in North Wilkesboro today, that you could begin to seriously ask, will he ever lose a race?
You're exactly right. I mean, I look at the Charlotte, he's no slouch. He's very, very good at Charlotte. Rockingham, he's very, very good. I don't know if he's ever going to lose again.
And you know, one thing that the drivers have to be worried about is getting in Harry's way and preventing him from not winning and kind of treating him with kid gloves. Rusty Wallace, remember, had a run-in with Harry last week. We asked Rusty, were you worried about the fans' reaction if Harry did not win last week at Martinsville?
The day that I got to start worrying about backing off because if I ding somebody up, the fans are going to get upset. Hey, I went up and down this road with this fan stuff. And I've kept saying that I love the fans. I'm doing all I can, but I can't let that affect my driving style because, yeah, I'm going for it. I think our car's been one of the only cars in the last 3 weeks that can run as close run with him. He's obviously got something that nobody's found yet. He's doing a doggone good job at it, and I respect him for what he's done. But I don't think the fans want to see it be a runaway Harry Gant show, and he needed to be raced a little bit, so I raced him hard.
That's Rusty Wallace, currently in 6th position behind Brett Bodine.
He's racing Brett Bodine hard right now. He races everybody hard, every time, every lap.
Michael Walker still in front of that group. They're not able to get by Michael. Michael lap down. But Pontiac seems to be running pretty good. Now Brett does try to get on the inside. Can't make the pass though.
No, doesn't look like it. There's some debris on the racetrack, but it is way up there by the wall. I'm not sure it's going to necessitate a yellow unless it blows down in the middle of the racetrack in the groove. Some fan, I wouldn't even call somebody who throws a can on the racetrack a fan. Some, what shall we call it? Dummy.
Yeah, can thrower. That sounds pretty good.
Certainly inconsiderate.
Yes.
And there's trouble up in turn 4.
Rick Wilson has spun and hit the wall in turn 4. I think he came in contact with Joe Ruttman in 75 and went around. Get a chance to see the replay.
Those two cars tapped earlier, didn't they?
Yes,
I believe so, yeah.
They sure did.
Rick's going to be able to drive the Snickers Buick away, scene of the crash.
But there seems to be some pretty serious. Watch that right front tire that comes down through, pointing directly at us.
It ain't headed in the right direction, is it? So the caution is out here in North Wilkesboro for the 5th time this afternoon. Crash in turn 4 involving Rick Wilson. Back after this. And here in North Wilkesboro, we're under caution once again because of an incident up in turn number 4. The track crew has completed their check of the racetrack. Richard Petty is on pit road, now moving away from his pit area. There you can see the damage on the right front of his car, which was caused a few minutes ago when he had contact with Chad Little. The 17 car of Darrell Waltrip is going to come in.
He has made some pit stops. They've been looking at the front end of the cars, and maybe the toe end is out a little bit or something on it. The Western Auto Chevrolet. Here comes Darrell down pit road. Let's go to the pits and John Turner.
Ned, you're exactly right. On the last caution flag coming out of the pits, Darrell ran into a tire. He knocked the right side toe end out. He's been in once already. They put the car up on jacks and they made an adjustment under the right front. Now Jake Elder taking a piece of string. That's how they check to see if the toe end is correct. They will check it now, see if they need to make another adjustment. Jeff Hammond jacking the car up. Jake looking over the situation. It was a big break that they got getting a caution flag only 20 laps after the incident happened, so they didn't have to spend a whole lot of time out there under green flag conditions, and they're continuing work. Now Darrell takes off, and maybe they've got the problem fixed.
They did not lose a lap, so Darrell will go back out onto the racetrack ahead of the pace car.
Andrew was not happy when they looked up and saw the 1 lap to go signal, so I would guess that they might not have it tight, that he's got to come back in. I don't know, but they looked like in disgust when they saw the signal 1 lap to go.
Or either they wanted to make a little bit more of an adjustment to it. But he's going to have to stay out there.
There you can see the pits here that have been added down into turn number 1. Actually, these pits don't end until about the middle of turn number 1, and then pits all the way up the front stretch and into turn number 4.
Trying to relieve some of the congestion on pit road. Because under the current rules, when the caution flag comes out, a lot of times we see 30 cars on pit road all at the same time.
Green flag is out again. As he has done all race long, Harry Gant continues to lead. Davey Allison, though, is not letting him get ahead on this restart.
I got a report that Darrell Waltrip just radio into his crew that the toe end feels worse. Harry Gant, the leader. He's only led every lap today. Davey Allison running second, and he's run there most of the day.
Now, fellas, we had about 4 or 5 cars that made pit stops besides Darrell Waltrip that are in the lead lap. Morgan Shepherd made a pit stop. Dale Jarrett and Mark Martin all made a pit stop. Those fellas might think they can go the rest of the way if it goes green the rest of the way, and I think they could. They got less than 100 miles to go. Might be some good strategy. That's only if it goes green the rest of the way.
We got 151 to go, Benny. 249 now.
You're right, Bob.
Thank you.
Oh, man, you're getting so good at that math.
He doesn't even have a calculator up there.
That's right. He's been taking night classes.
There's Kowicki back of him. Look at this battle. Morgan Shepherd there.
And Dave Marcus has spun on the backstretch. Let's see.
No caution yet.
He's down on the inside of the racetrack trying to get it fired. He's out of the groove, but the caution is coming out.
Flash of cautions here in the last few laps.
And as soon as the caution flag came out, Dave Marcus.
And they'll come down, and Harry Gant will get the yellow flag for the 6th time today.
Harry Gant has slowed down just a little bit. Earnhardt would probably have tried hard to get up and pass Harry Gant to get those 5 bonus points, because neither he or Rudd have led the race today.
Nobody.
Excuse me. Now we're down under the 150 lap mark to go. Will Harry Gant and the others come in now? They probably didn't think they could make it a little bit ago, but let's see. They'll probably gauge on what Harry Gant does. See if he comes in.
We're going to be watching the back end of that 33 to see if it stays out or comes in. And Gant comes in.
Somebody else is going to take the lead here this time, because some of those cars that pitted a while ago won't pit this time. So Harry Gant will not lead every lap of this race.
No, because of the caution, he will not lead every lap. Probably Morgan Shepherd is going to be given credit for leading that lap.
Morgan Shepherd stayed out there, and so
now we're going to watch the battle in the pit area, Jerry.
3 on the bottom, 33 on top is Harry Gant and Dale Earnhardt's crew going to work now. Both these cars should be able to make it the rest of the way, about 148 laps on fuel. Gant is away, Earnhardt is away, and he raced to turn 1 as the car number 21 has already been away. They continue to work on Kent Schrader's car, and you can hear the crowd in the background watching that race off pit road, guys.
Now it's going to be interesting. Harry does not have the lead, will not have it for the first time this afternoon. The 21 car of Dale Jarrett was the first off pit road because he took fuel only. And so we're now going to have to watch Harry Gant take the lead away from somebody else.
That's right. First time today he's been in that position.
Here's the Western Auto race recap prior to the caution. Harry Gant was the leader, had led 250 of the 250 laps. 5 cautions for 30 laps, no lead changes, and a 93.037 mile an hour average speed. Boy, this is a short list. It was. Harry Gant had led all the way to that point.
You know, I think that's the first time I've ever seen that.
I think it is, too.
I've only been doing this for 3 years.
Only one car behind the wall. That's Ernie Irvan. Otherwise, everybody is still out there. The Mechanic of the Year standings. Danny Glad from Alan Kulwicki's crew is on top. Very close battle, though, with Larry McReynolds, who's only 3 points behind, and Tony Glover is only 5 points behind, followed by Robin Pemberton from Mark Martin's crew, and then Dale Earnhardt's crew chief, Kirk Shelmerdine.
I've just gotten the word that the 75 car of Joe Ruttman has been penalized 5 laps for rough driving.
Now look at the race off pit road.
As soon as that jack goes down, that's a signal to go. We see it. As soon as that car hit, Harry Gant let the clutch out and away it went. But Earnhardt beat him, and there's Davey Allison almost beating Harry out of the pits.
They didn't really have to worry about their speed that much because they're pitted down on the far end of the pits, so they could go ahead and accelerate and still perhaps not get up over the 35 miles an hour before they got off pit road.
254 laps completed under caution here. And now for the first time today, Harry Gant does not have the lead. Can he get it? We'll be right back. Join us. Flag waves on lap 258 for a resumption of the Tyson Holly Farms 400. Morgan Shepherd, car 15, is the leader of the race. Second is Dale Jarrett. Third, Dale Earnhardt. And fourth is Harry Gant.
We've seen Ricky Rudd up there a lap down in that Tide Chevrolet. He wants to get up front and try to get that lap back. If he doesn't, Earnhardt's going to gain some valuable points.
Second, third, and fourth here with the 30 car of Michael Waltrip, who is not on the lead lap.
Dale Jarrett having a tough time getting around him. Up on that outside.
Earnhardt moving alongside Jarrett.
That's position. 3 on the inside, 21 on the outside.
Dale's car just simply won't, Dale Jarrett's car won't go on that outside. These restarts have killed him all afternoon long. There's Harry Gant down on the inside of him. With the lap car starting up on the, down on the inside, it's stuck on a car that won't work down on the inside. Now Earnhardt gets on the inside of Michael Waltrip. That's where he wants to be.
Earnhardt is now second, Gant third, Jarrett fourth, Davey Allison is fifth. Then Alan Kulwicki. Shepherd opening up quite a lead.
Yes, as these cars, Dale Earnhardt and Harry Gant struggle to get through the traffic. Morgan Shepherd with a clean racetrack in front of him is just driving away from these cars.
Rick Wilson is back in the garage area. John Kernan is there.
Just caught up with Rick. We're continuing on your car. 5-lap penalty to Joe Ruttman. I guess they say that he may have gotten into you intentionally.
Well, it's not maybe, it's pretty sure. You know, early in the race, I was underneath Joe. I had him pass good, and he come down. I put the brakes on. I touched him in the quarter panel, and he spun. Hey, that's a racing accident. I hate it for Joe. But I knew when I seen him in the mirror, you know, what he was going to do. He drove in the corner, drove me in the wall, tore Billy Stavola's race car up, and we were running good. It just shows you what kind of racers they are. There's no sense in that. If they got a problem with it, they ought to come to me, not tear a man's race car up. And I will sell it later.
Well, you weren't continuing. The pan arm bar broken, so you are trying to get back out.
It bent the pan arm bar, bent the trailing arm. The door race car pretty good, which is a shame. The Snickers Bilberry are running good today, and we don't need that. We don't need that in racing at all, stuff like that.
Well, you called last week that they had a wheel break after running in 7th position at Martinsville. Rick obviously upset.
Rick Wilson behind the wall. Joe Ruttman spent 5 laps on pit road as a penalty for rough driving.
And he is really, Joe Ruttman is, as we watch this battle between Earnhardt, the 3 cars, the 3 and the 33 battles side by side.
Little touch coming out of turn 4. This is the battle for 2nd spot. Harry Gant and Dale Earnhardt.
Gant's car able to run on the inside and get a good grip coming off the racetrack. Now this is the spot he needs to get the jump on Earnhardt if he's going to get by.
Yep, he'll do it. There it is, that car jumping off the corner, and that is a very impressive move anytime, passing Dale Earnhardt when his car is running well on a short track. But Gant does it. He's now 2nd, and now there are 2 cars between him and a lot of racetrack between Harry and Morgan Shepherd. But boy, Dale is not letting him go easily, is he?
He's not giving up at all. One of those 2 cars I was about to mention is Joe Ruttman, who is hanging right on the back bumper of Morgan Shepherd. Of course, Ruttman is a number of laps down, but his car is fast right now.
Don't you know that Dale Earnhardt is looking at that 33 car and scratching his head and said, what have they got?
What can I do?
Well, he also can say, hey, there was a day when I was doing that, but just not today.
Ricky Rudd, nice gentleman moved over, let Harry Gant go by. Here's your leader, Morgan Shepherd.
Let's go to John Kernan with a comment.
Well, it's amazing that Morgan is holding his own up front. He's running probably with about 30 to 50 horsepower less than some of these other guys. He's got a broken header pipe. Talking with Donnie Wingo and the crew, they said that would knock off quite a bit of horsepower, but they elected to stay out. They thought they had tires that would last them for a while, at least until their next pit stop.
Well, he's holding off the challenge of Harry Gant right now while Harry closes the gap. But it appears as if it's just a matter of laps before Gant can get up there and pass him.
I don't think there's any question about it. Gant is running about 0.2 a second a lap faster than is Morgan Shepherd right now.
There's the interval.
And last week we saw Harry Gant start 13th and pass all those cars, come up front, and the fans went crazy. And I believe when he gets up to Morgan Shepherd, if he does pass him, we'll see some nice fan reaction. They'll probably fall out of the grandstand.
Is 3rd, then the battle for 4th between Jarrett and Allison.
Dale Jarrett stopped the last time and just put fuel in, didn't he, Ned?
Yeah, he had just taken on tires a few laps before that, so he just took on fuel just in case they didn't have enough to go the rest of the way. Morgan Shepherd is the only one out there now that had about 155 laps to go, which is a little less than 100 miles. I think these other drivers will be able to make it the rest of the way. They only have, in fact, less than 150 laps to go when they made their pit stop. So if there's not another caution, I believe that they can go the rest of the way.
Dale Jarrett finished 25th here in the spring. This is his 10th start at North Wilkesboro. Davey Allison finished 6th here at this track. The first Union 400 in the spring.
Harry Gant is closing, Bob.
Yeah, he's passed Joe Ruttman, and now he is just car lengths away from Morgan Shepherd, the leader.
I'm kind of like Dale Earnhardt. What have they got? Man, this car is so incredible.
And you know, the question that I've been asked so many times since last week, with all these wins, can Harry Gant win the Winston Cup? Well, mathematically, yes, but in reality, no, because there are 4 drivers, actually 5 ahead of Harry in the point standings, and each one of those guys would have to finish near the bottom of every race now before the end of the year, and Harry would have to win them. So, no, he's not going to win the Winston Cup this year, but if he keeps up this performance, he is going to go out in a blaze of glory in 1991. Now, he sets up Morgan Shepherd for the pass.
And I
talked to Harry again. He said his goal this year, he wants to run in the top 5 in the Winston Cup point standings.
And undoubtedly will do that if he wins a race here today. Now he looks to the inside of Morgan Shepherd in turn 2. It's not in any hurry.
No, he won't take any chances to pass Morgan. He'll wait and get a good bite coming off the turn, get a nose up under him, and then just drive on by. But Morgan is a very good short track driver himself. And his Bud Moore Motorcraft Ford working pretty good here today, so he's going to lead as long as he can.
17 car of Darrell Waltrip having some problems. Currently in 11th position. John Kernan has a report.
Well, first they thought the toe-in was knocked out earlier. They fixed that, found out actually it was towed in, so they got that fixed. And now Darrell has radioed in and told crew chief Jeff Hammond at first he thought he had a wheel might be coming apart. We talked about Rick Wilson's wheel that broke completely clean off the center spot. Last weekend, Darrell thinks that may be a problem. Jeff said if that's not the problem, maybe a tie rod end is bent. So they're waiting here, hoping to catch a caution, but they're probably going to have to fit soon and change right-side tires.
So Darrell Waltrip continues to struggle. Meanwhile, Harry Gant continues to try to get the lead from Morgan Shepherd, and it would seem to me that he might want to do that because Dale Earnhardt is right on Harry Gant's back bumper.
Very good point. Earnhardt has moved back up. Gant has slowed down since he caught Shepherd. As we said, don't want to take any unnecessary chances, but he might have to in a little bit because Earnhardt will get up there and mix it up, and he hasn't led yet today, and we know how bad he wants to beat a lap so he can get those 5 bonus points.
And in a traffic situation, Earnhardt could certainly get up and take the lead. Morgan goes up the racetrack, but not enough for Harry Gant to get inside as he come off these corners.
We will keep an eye on this. We have to get a commercial break in. We're going to keep an eye on it, and if anything should happen while you are away, we will show you. But for right now, Morgan Shepherd is leading Harry Gant. Stay with us. Now let's go to a Big A on-track interval report comparing the speeds and the times of Harry Gant and Morgan Shepherd on 5 consecutive laps, 272 through 276.
We can see they picked up 0.6 of a second, and Gant each and every lap was just a little bit quicker than Morgan Shepherd.
Consistency is the name of the game. Shepherd was pretty consistent, never varying more than 1/10 of a second, but
Harry was consistently faster.
Right. Cutting the interval from a full second to 0.4 of a second. Well, Harry isn't in the lead yet. He continues to be in second position behind Morgan Shepherd. We'll be right back at North Wilkesboro. With over 1 million miles of award-winning auto racing coverage, ESPN Speed World is today at North Wilkesboro Speedway in North Carolina for the Tyson Holly Farms 400, race number 25 out of 29 in the Winston Cup season. This is the Phillips 66 en route camera. We're right behind Joe Ruttman and the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt and the 33 of Harry Gant and the 15 of Morgan Shepherd.
I thought Harry had him that time. He almost got under and coming off the second corner.
Meanwhile, here's a good battle. Schrader passing Brett Bodine, and this would be the battle for 8th.
Now back to the lead. Here's Harry again. He's on the inside, but he can't get that grip he needs. He needs to do this up in turn 4 where he's really getting off the corner.
He might do it this time.
Here he goes. Here he goes.
Morgan Shepherd goes high. Harry Gant low. He takes the lead on lap 294. Just a little more than 100 laps to go.
Morgan got in the corner. Looked like he couldn't get the car to turn. Went up the racetrack a little bit. All Harry needed and said, see you later, Morgan, and Dale Earnhardt and the rest of you guys.
Now we'll see if Gant can lengthen out the advantage.
I'll say he will.
Here's a replay of how Harry Gant finally got around Morgan.
Morgan went in the corner and just got a little bit too hard. The car went up the racetrack. That's all Harry needed.
Got the traction off the turn. Boy, they got close coming off that turn. Morgan was close to the wall, and Harry was close to Morgan.
But Harry now is in the lead and beginning to pull away from Morgan Shepherd. Dale Earnhardt is right there behind Morgan in third spot. Meanwhile, how about Ricky Rudd, second place in the Winston Cup points? He's shown in 12th position now. He is still a lap down to the field. There's the 7 car of Alan Kowicki. He's currently 7th.
Ricky Rudd passed Alan Kowicki.
Yeah, Alan's fallen back a little bit here in the last few laps. He was running up there in the 6th position.
There's the 25 car, Kenny Schrader. They've caught Alan Kowicki. This will be the race 4, 7th.
7th, 8th, and 9th right there. And let's get an update on Alan Kowicki from John Kernan.
Bob just talked to Paul Andrews at crew chief. He said something just happened to the motor. They may have broken a valve spring. So Alan out there running on 7 cylinders right now.
Yeah, a little bit of smoke seen now and then from the Hoovers Ford as Schrader goes to the inside. And here is Davey Allison passing Dale Jarrett.
And here is Brett Bodine going around Alan Kowicki. There's Mark Martin right behind him. You can see Kenny Schrader has already made that pass up there, so Kowicki really dropping back.
There's Morgan Shepherd now to the inside of Alan Kowicki.
Darrell Waltrip is the last car on the lead lap. He is currently in 11th place, but he's about to go a lap down as Harry Gant has caught him.
Chuck Bound driving this pure Yarborough car here this afternoon. The Phillips 66 in-car actually on roof camera. That's Brett Bodine to the right. Passing Chuck. Now here comes Martin.
Martin is currently 5th in the Winston Cup point standings, and he's currently 9th in the race. If the race would end this way, Harry Gant would move up in the top 5.
John Kernan has the report on Chuck Bound.
Well, it's been an up and down weekend for Chuck Bound. On Thursday, Cale Yarborough called him and asked him if he would drive his race car this weekend at North Wilkesboro, a one-shot deal. Chuck said, yeah, I'd love to, because the defending Busch Grand National champion would really like to one day wind up running in Winston Cup. The downside, he said the car, they just couldn't get it figured out for this racetrack. He doesn't have a lot of experience here at North Wilkesboro. He said his main goal today, stay out of everyone's way, getting some seat time here at this track in a Winston Cup car.
Chuck given that seat, of course, after it was offered to, but then rejected by Jeff Gordon, as they decided that Jeff would concentrate on winning the Grand National Rookie of the Year standings. There is Schrader and Bodine once again running very close together.
The cars are running numerically correct, but Brett Bodine would like to change that a little bit. Schrader 25, Brett Bodine 26.
Darrell Waltrip has gone a lap down. He is now there are only 10 cars on the lead lap.
Here's your field summary.
Kowicki moved back to that 10th spot. There's Brett on the inside. Jimmy Hensley 13th in that Team 3 Pontiac.
Good run for him again today.
Yes. Al Petty back in 19th.
Bobby Hamilton in 17th as he tries to lengthen his rookie point standings over Ted Musgrave. The King is 21st, and Chuck Bound 23rd.
And Darrell Waltrip coming into the pits. We talked to him just a moment ago. So Darrell, an unscheduled pit stop here, green flag running. So that's going to drop him back even further in the Western Auto Chevrolet. John Kernan is there.
Darrell brings your car in. They will change right side tires only. He has told Jeff Hammond on the radio he's got a serious problem. We had told you earlier, he thought he might have had a bent wheel, a wheel coming apart, or maybe a tie rod is bent. Well, they are checking under the right front, taking a look under the left front. Darrell sitting here on pit road, and that may be a tie rod problem. That's the area they're looking at.
A 10-time winner here in North Wilkesboro. He's won this race 6 times, the most recent in 1986, and he has won the spring race 4 times, the most recent earlier this year. Work completed on the 17 Western Auto car, and Darrell Waltrip goes back into competition. Losing several laps on that pit stop. Now Mark Martin and Ken Schrader have found each other on the racetrack as Bodine was able to get around Schrader, and now It is Mark Martin who goes into 8th spot.
We saw Schrader's car wiggle just then. It came off the corner. Generally a telltale sign the chassis not quite right.
311 laps gone, less than 90 to go here in the Tyson Holly Farms 400. It has been all Harry Gant this afternoon. Winston Cup replays are brought to you by Autolite Spark Plugs, guaranteed for 2 years no matter how far you go. The Tyson Holly Farms 400 at North Wilkesboro in 1990. Kyle Petty was on the pole for the first time in his career on a short track. But Mark Martin took the early lead from outside row number 1 as Mark tried to widen the 16-point edge he enjoyed in the point standings. Dale Earnhardt got the lead on lap 66 as Martin and Alan Kowicki pursued. At mid-race, Martin developed handling problems, and it appeared as though he would lose ground in his championship drive. During a pit stop, Earnhardt was in and out quickly. But Martin's crew went to work, taking the spacer out of the right front spring in an effort to improve the handling. And it worked. Martin began to charge toward the front, and 37 laps from the finish, he passed Earnhardt. Mark went on to beat Dale by 3.63 seconds. The two drivers went away from North Wilkesboro, separated by the same number of points as going in. Martin ended the 1990 short track season with a win, the first for Ford at North Wilkesboro since Bobby Allison in 1980. Mark's championship's hopes were still alive. And the win hopes of Harry Gant are still very much alive as he tries to continue this incredible win streak that he is on. He is trying to make it number 5. Back of him is second place Morgan Shepherd and third place Dale Earnhardt. And Morgan has held off Earnhardt now for numerous laps.
I think Earnhardt's just a little bit quicker than Morgan Shepherd, but Morgan's in front. And for Earnhardt to get by is going to be a struggle. Meanwhile, Ricky Rudd, who's second in the Winston Cup point standings, is currently 11th.
There's the 28 car of Davey Allison and the 2 car of Rusty Wallace. They're on the lead lap. 4th and 5th. Earnhardt still trying to get to the inside of Morgan Shepherd.
So they have about a straightaway lead on Davey Allison. And meanwhile, Harry Gant has about a half a straightaway on this duo.
There's Harry. Bill Elliott off the corner, and they're second and third.
They're not that far away. Well, maybe something's wrong with Harry. I think he's posting. He's on cruise control.
There's no reason for him to win by a lap. Just win. 75 laps to go.
You know, that was unbelievable. I got to Taylorsville about 9:30 Monday morning to go interview Harry Gant last week, and you'd think he'd be up reading the paper and enjoying his victory. He's back there working on that building.
Here's Mark Martin, Dale Jarrett, and Ken Schrader. This is 6th, 7th, and 8th. I think that's 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Yeah, Dale Jarrett having a little problem with the Citgo Ford. Don't know what it is, if it's handling or what, but he dropped 4th back to, about to go 9th.
Jarrett is struggling in that Citgo Ford, trying to hold off Ken Schrader at the moment, but Ken's driving around him on the outside.
And Schrader makes that pass.
What's the problem on this 21 car?
I spoke with Leonard Wood and Eddie Wood a minute ago, and Dale has radioed in and said he thinks he may have a right rear tire going down. He is was right up on the rear bumper a minute ago of Brett Bodine, but now he has lost a lot of valuable time as Mark Martin has gone by. Kenny Schrader has gone by, and now he's losing time to some of the other cars in the field. Tough break for the Pitco Ford.
Indeed, Jarrett has been in the top 10 all afternoon long. Winner of the race at Michigan that we televised earlier this year. And I was asked earlier in the weekend to name my most memorable moments in broadcasting ESPN races. And that ranks right up there, believe me.
Me too.
Ernie Irvin, Rick Wilson, and Dave Marcus, 3 cars that are currently behind the wall in the garage area. They're still working on the Kodak film surely of Ernie Irvin, not able to get it back.
Harry's just passing traffic out there, getting around the King. Harry, did you ever dream that you would be on such a win streak as you are this year?
No, not really. I always hoped I'd win that $1 million like Bill did. I'd been looking forward to it, but since we didn't win the $1 million, I didn't ever think nothing like this would happen.
But it is, and he is within 70 laps now of his 5th in a row in Winston Cup competition. Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina, has led 47% of all the laps run in Winston Cup competition since Darlington on Labor Day weekend. We'll be right back. Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch back at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, where Harry Gant in the Skull Bandit continues to lead this race. Last week, remember what Benny said after Harry crashed? Well, that reminds us of something that happened last night. Here's Buffet Benny.
Every week, Buffet Benny takes you all around the circuit. Today, I want to bring you to my home. This old house is where I grew up. I lived the first 16 years of my life. We're having a barbecue tonight. My relatives have cooked the food for me and all the entire ESPN crew and the family. And we even invited Bob Jenkins.
Hey,
Bob?
BP.
Whoa.
What? Before we eat the chicken, the fish, we're going to have dessert.
Okay.
Do you remember saying this? Harry Gant will not win number 4.
I remember saying that, yes.
Last week, just after he crashed.
I messed up, didn't I?
BP, you are going to eat your words.
Oh, okay.
It's my pleasure to cut the first piece of cake and serve it to you because you do owe Harry an apology.
I do. I mean, he did, in fact, win that number 4. I thought he was all over with, though, Bob.
Well, a lot of other people did, too, but BP, it's my pleasure to serve you this first piece of cake.
At least I get dessert out of the deal.
Eating your words.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
My hand slipped. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, BP.
Yeah, your hand slipped, right?
Just couldn't control that left hand, could you?
No, I have terrible control over my left hand. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to study this picture very carefully of the gentleman that you're seeing there. First of all, he is pretty handsome. He's got hair, and he's kind of slender. Who would believe that it's Benny Parsons from his high school yearbook? Can you believe that? And he was voted the best-looking individual at that school.
Bob, you got to remember, they didn't have much to choose from back then.
Were you the only male in your class? Is that it?
Not much to choose from. Hey, that's a pretty good shot, huh?
That is
And
a
hair
good
and
shot.
everything.
Yeah.
Looking fella.
I'm
Well, you know,
impressed.
we like it when we go into an area where certain people come from, prominent people come from. We like to focus in on them and come back here to Wilkes County where Benny grew up. And
we'll also keep secret the name of the guy that supplied that yearbook so that BP won't go after him.
Alan Kowicki still having some problems in that Hoosiers Ford. You know, we talking about Wilkes County. I got to give a call to a gentleman who helped us out with the tease of our show, the very beginning of our show today. The fellow who owned all those old cars, the 40 Ford, Clay called. And Clay, we really appreciate your help this weekend. There's no way in the world we could have done that without you.
Boy, those were neat cars, too, I'll tell you.
they really were.
We're seeing some smoke out of this number 7 car pretty prominently now at times. And there's Harry Gant. He's not too far from last.
No, he isn't. Alan currently running in the 10th position there. only 10 cars on the lead lap, but Allen not far away from going a lap down.
It's not far away from blowing up. Looks at that smoke coming out of it.
Just a little more than 50 laps to go.
Well, let's hope he don't blow up in front of Harry Gant.
Yeah, really.
You know, we've given Harry Gant all the superlatives we probably possibly can as far as his ability, the car, the crew, but luck has entered in because, you know, guys have not blown up in front of Harry Gant for the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, you're right. You can have the best car in the whole world, and if something goes wrong on pit road, somebody spins in front of you on the racetrack, somebody bumps you, it can go wrong, and that certainly can happen yet today.
Well, look at Chad Little. Just made a pit stop, move around Harry Gant, has some fresh tires on the Tyson Ford, number 19. And now Harry just passed Jeff Bodine a lap or two ago. And Harry probably saw that smoke up there in Alan Kowicki's car and said, hey, I don't want to get too close up there in case that thing does blow up. He might have backed off a little bit.
And pulling away at about the rate of 1/10 of a second a lap. Here's the on-track interval again, presented by Big A Auto Parts. We timed laps 336 through 340.
He picked up 1 second in 5 laps, so that an average of 0.2 of a second a lap. He was able to pull away from Morgan Shepherd. And I think you're right, Ed. I think Harry's concerned about Alan Kowicki's car smoking up in front of him.
Now Jeff Bodine trying to get one of the laps back that he is behind in the Budweiser Ford, and Gant's going to let him because he has a good lead over Morgan Shepherd, who is still running. Well, I say a good lead. It's not really that much. It's only about, I'll put my watch on it here, 2 1/10 seconds, so it's not too big of a lead. It was bigger than that before Harry slowed down a little bit.
About a half a straightaway.
I tell you what, I'm not sure Harry Gant is not having trouble.
I'm not either.
I don't see any scrambling around in the pits, but here comes Rick Mast driving up behind Harry Gant. I think that 33 car's got a problem.
I do too.
Well, he could have a tire maybe going bad or something like that. I don't know.
Car is noticeably slower than it was.
These are the radial tires. They're resistant to punctures more so than a bicycle, but still, you can't have a flat tire.
Now Morgan Shepherd has closed it to 1 8/10, so he is definitely gaining on Harry Gant. Jerry Punch, what do you know about that situation?
Well, let's check in. Andy Petrie's pretty stoic here beside me. We'll get a comment from Andy. Andy, he's slowing a little bit. Andy, is there a problem with the car?
Well, I don't know. Maybe the tires are wearing out a little bit. I don't know. He hasn't said much about how the car is.
Well, they're hoping that maybe it's just his tires only. Maybe the tires get a little bit slippery, and that's the only problem. Is they're watching and waiting. Remember that unit count bonus of 144,000 plus up for grabs in less than 50 laps.
Well, maybe it's just strategy that Harry is playing here because probably aware that the 15 car of Morgan Shepherd is probably going to have to come in for a splash of fuel.
So that means he just got to beat Dale Earnhardt if that be the case, if Morgan does in fact have to stop the fuel.
Right. And Earnhardt is not, it appears, gaining on Gant. So we do have a story playing out here. Can Harry hold on to the lead?
Had trouble on the backstretch.
Begin. You might have heard Ned as we were going to break indicate there was trouble on the backstretch. Didn't amount to very much. Sterling Marlin just got a little sideways, but it did bring out a caution period. Here it is.
Sterling Marlin does 360, complete 360, stops the car, and that did bring out the caution flag.
We had pit stops and Harry Gant, the crew doing a great job on the car. He was first out of the pit area, followed very closely by Dale Earnhardt, and then came Morgan Shepherd. So Gant will have the lead when we go back to green. There is the car that caused the yellow spinning over on the backstretch. That's Sterling Marlin. Standing by for the restart here at North Wilkesboro. Now here we are back at North Wilkesboro, and this is a replay of the reason we're under caution. Sterling Marlin spinning in the backstretch.
And he does a complete 360, Bob, down on the inside of the racetrack, and he gets it headed in the right direction, but the caution had already come out. Now, See Sterling down here on the inside? Look where Harry Gant is up there coming up on the outside. Well, you can see that fella is smiling one more time. Is that a good? That's not a very good smile, but
no, that's okay.
He dodged the trouble one more time.
Harry dodged another bullet. He is in the lead as we go back to green. Earnhardt's right behind him. So's Morgan Shepherd, Davey Allison, and Mark Martin.
Harry Gant pulls away about a car length from Earnhardt. But then Dale closes right on the back bumper coming off turn 4.
You can bet your $5 that he is giving it everything he has. Dale Jarrett and Alan Kowicki get in trouble as Jeff Bodine really right in front of them.
Bodine spins to the wall down in turn 1. Will this cause a caution? Yes, it will. Jeff's going to be able to drive away at least. Yeah, the Ford is moving, but the caution is out.
It's awfully tight racing coming off of the turn 4. Alan Kowicki's car, as we have documented, apparently on 7 cylinders now, was coming off awfully slow, and their cars really got jammed up in there with it.
There are only 34 more laps to go. And let's take a look again at what happened. There's Bodine sideways down the front stretch.
I think Alan might have clipped him just a little bit and got him sideways, and Dale Jarrett was right on the outside of Alan Kowicki, so they were all bumping together coming off the turn. And you can see a little bit of the bumper strip that is loose on Alan Kowicki's car, similar to what Jeff Bodine had a little bit earlier. The big difference is that Jeff Bodine's happened under the green flag. Now Alan will come in the Hooters Ford, get that pulled off. He's still in the lead lap, still in 10th position.
About to go back to green next time. I'm not sure, guys, that Gant's car is as strong as it was, or maybe even capable of winning the race.
You know something, Bob, you might be right, because Earnhardt up in turn 4, where Harry Gant has been most dominant today, closed right up on his back bumper. Now, so maybe it was more than a tire that the problem he was having earlier.
Don't make me eat my words if I'm wrong. I'm just suggesting that that could be the possibility.
And I'll bet if he made you eat your words, it wouldn't be a nice cake.
Here's Ricky Rudd.
Yeah.
He needs to get in front of Gant, try to get that lap back.
Gant has been a lap down, or rather, Rudd has been a lap down virtually all afternoon.
And Earnhardt does not want that to happen, as he literally pushed Harry Gant down in turn 1, trying to, come on, Harry, get in front of that 5 car.
A battle within the battle of the Winston Cup raging out there between Ricky Rudd and Dale Earnhardt, as the battle on the racetrack is between Gant and Earnhardt.
Rudd moves over, lets Earnhardt go, because Earnhardt has a chance to win the race. That was a fine move on Rudd's part.
Harry now stretching it out a little this time.
Now the Pennzoil Pontiac just went by, and he's on 7 cylinders.
He had a lot of smoke coming from his car, too. I think he got the black flag.
30 laps to go. That's 370 complete.
And Ricky Rudd did not get the jump on Harry Gant.
But Morgan Shepherd now really working on Dale Earnhardt. Shepherd was second before the caution came out.
29 laps to go. Can Harry Gant hang on and win 5 in a row?
And a bunch of money.
And a bunch of money.
And in 1971, 2 drivers won 5 in a row. That was the last time it happened. Richard Petty and Bobby Allison.
Here comes Morgan on the inside. Not able to get by, though.
First, second, third, and fourth are just nose to tail. Shepherd again looking inside of Earnhardt for second place. Donnie Wingo is the mechanic, the Western Auto mechanic of the race.
He's the crew chief on the Motorcraft Ford that Morgan Shepherd is driving.
Come on, Donnie, turn around and smile to the camera. He's a good mechanic. He doesn't know much about television or even a smile for us.
Morgan again trying to get the nose of that car to the inside of Earnhardt.
And he moves up. Here comes Morgan.
Oh, Morgan a little sideways coming off the corner.
Really carried the car down in turn 3 the last time, trying to stay in front of Morgan. Now Morgan slides up, and here comes Davey Allison.
Allison going for third here on the main straightaway.
And Mark Martin is not far behind them. Martin getting a little extra life here at the end of the race. Hasn't really run that well all day, but come alive here now.
Side by side battle for third. Davey Allison and Morgan Shepherd. And here comes Mark Martin. 3 4s battling for third.
And boy, that's good for Dale Earnhardt. He looks up seeing them running side by side. He said, just stay that way, fellas, and I'll pull on away up here and try to race Harry Gant. Boy, Shepherd drove deep into turn 3 that time. It stuck pretty good for him, but here comes Davey back down on the inside.
But Morgan gets the bite and takes third spot back over again.
Yep, now he'll move to the inside and maintain that faster line. There is Gant, the leader of the race, with Dale Earnhardt running in second. And the laps clicking down. Now 22 to go. Is Harry Gant going to make it 5 in a row here at North Wilkesboro on the Tyson Holly Farms 400? We'll be right back.
You've loved it.
Coming a battle on the racetrack with now 16 laps to go. Harry Gant and Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt is very, very close. We'll show you the field summary. Harry Gant trying to win 5 in a row. This would only be the 3rd time that Gant has won in his career from the pole position. The first was at Charlotte in 1982 and most recently at Darlington way back in 1984. But boy, if you're going to win from the pole position, nowadays is the time to do it because you pick up all that Unocal bonus money. Today worth $144,400.
Looks to me like Harry Gant has picked up a push. He's just not able to get the car down in the corner. It looks like he's backing off so he can get the car to turn once he gets down in the corner.
And Benny, he's coming up on some traffic ahead of him now, and a push is not a good thing to have going on with your car when you're in heavy traffic. Earnhardt now moves a little bit closer. Now those cars will move out of his way, but if he has to pass them on the outside with a push, that's not going to work very well. But Chuck Bowen gets completely down on the inside of the track, so that gave Harry lots of room out there.
And Earnhardt does not have much time to get the passing done because there are now only coming up on 12 laps to go. But look how close Dale is. He's right on the back bumper of Harry Gant.
This traffic is not playing in Harry Gant's hands, just like Ned said. It's a problem for him.
There isn't a whole lot of traffic ahead of Gant now. Moving by Darrell Waltrip. Jeff Bodine and Bill Elliott are up ahead.
11 more, but no, here goes Earnhardt on the outside. Is that a fake?
That's a fake. That was an absolute fake. He run up there and hoping Gant would drift high, and then he'd try to turn left under, but Gant didn't fall for that trick.
Harry's got a few years experience for that kind of thing. Earnhardt again sneaks up on the back bumper.
Harry's definitely going to try to make Dale go on the outside if he's to pass him.
10 laps to go.
All right, now let's see how this 9 car, Bill Elliott, comes into play. Harry is not getting off those turns the way he was. I think you picked it right, Benny. I think he does have a little bit of a push coming off the turn. And boy, that'll slow you down some. Now Earnhardt gets underneath him.
Oh, and they touch coming off the 4th turn. Gant maintaining the lead with 9 laps to go.
Well, here's Earnhardt on the outside.
He's going to try it on the outside in turn number 2. He pulls alongside of Harry Gant. Earnhardt and Gant are side by side, and Earnhardt gets the lead.
Man, oh man.
But Gant comes back on the inside. Let's see if, Harry is driving the car as hard as he can. He has it sideways off the 4th turn.
First time that Harry Gant has been passed in how long?
Oh, boy. A long time.
And Dale Earnhardt has passed Harry Gant with just, 9 laps to go?
9 laps to go, and now they're coming up on 6 to go. And it appears as if Earnhardt is going to beat Harry Gant. And the win streak is going to come to an end.
I feel like there's not going to be Christmas this year, Bob.
Well, it was nice while it lasted, though, for Harry Gant.
It was. But what a great victory will be for Dale Earnhardt if he can go on and win the race and pick up all those points on Ricky Rudd. Let's see, Rudd is currently 12th. So, Earnhardt.
Less than 6 laps to go for Dale Earnhardt, who has been in the top. Oh, it could have been a brake problem.
We understand that maybe the brakes have gone away on Harry Gant's Skoll Oldsmobile. So.
Well, of all places probably that Harry wanted to win, it was here because of the fact that he lives just down the road from the racetrack. But Dale Earnhardt, you can take nothing away from him because he's hung in there all day.
And Harry Gant has bigger problems. Look at Morgan Shepherd, Davey Allison, Mark Martin coming.
Yeah, they're really battling for him. Morgan Shepherd is still running third, but Davey Allison really putting the pressure on. And Mark Martin putting the pressure on Allison, third, fourth, and fifth. And Morgan is only about 5 car lengths behind Harry Gant.
Shepherd closing in on Gant. 3 to go for Dale Earnhardt.
What a run Harry Gant had. And I'm not saying he's not going to win number 5.
Not until the checkered flag comes out.
Until the checkered flag. I'm not going to count this guy out until it's all over.
If Earnhardt wins, it would be his 4th of the year. Here's a good battle for 3rd spot. There's Davey Allison right behind Morgan Shepherd as Shepherd puts another lap on Jimmy Spencer, who goes way up high on the racetrack.
2 to go. 1.5 from there.
It would be Earnhardt's 4th victory here at North Wilkesboro. It'll be his 52nd in his career. White flag is out for Dale Earnhardt. Gant maintains 2nd, followed closely by Morgan Shepherd. The question now is Harry going to be able to hang on for 2nd spot as Earnhardt is at the end of the backstretch? Earnhardt brings the car off of corner number 4. Dale Earnhardt wins the Tyson Holly Farms 400. Gant does finish 2nd, followed by Morgan Shepherd, Davey Allison, Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace, and Brett Bodine. Well, Richard Childress and the Kirk Shelmerdine crew are celebrating. They have beaten Harry Gant. They have stopped the win streak. Earnhardt wins at North Wilkesboro, and we'll be back to talk with him in just a moment. The win streak is over. Dale Earnhardt passed Harry Gant with 9 laps to go and won here today. Morgan Shepherd was 3rd, followed by Davey Allison and Mark Martin. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil. Well, as you know, there is a lift that brings the car up to the top of a building here in the infield at North Wilkesboro where Victory Lane is, and the car is on its way up right now. So we're going to take a break and be back to talk with the winner here this afternoon, Dale Earnhardt. Harry Gant finished 2nd.
Back at Wilkesboro Speedway, and Dale Earnhardt has picked up his 4th win of the year and his 4th win at this tough 5/8 of a mile track. Dale, congratulations.
Well, we needed this win. You know, I'd like to thank Goodwrench and all the pit crew. Them guys did a super job, and you know, I can't thank them enough. Harry ran a hard race there. We got to go in there at the end, and I run Harry pretty good. And I knew I could just stay. If I could stay with him, I'd keep me in his mirror, maybe wear him a bit. And as we got to running there, I got to see him getting a little loose, get in. And I asked Richard, I said, how many laps to go? He said 25. And Kurt says, no, 15. So I wanted to know how long I had before I could, you know, punish my tires or what. So I started running it hard when Kurt said 15. And I started catching him a little, and I could stay with him off the corner, and I got to him. And I tried to get on him one time, and, you know, he come down, which is, you know, his prerogative, his race in the groove. And the next time I just let it on in there on the outside of him and give it off. We got a good run off with 2 over there. You know, he just got a little loose. We made him use his tires a little. We was, you know, lucky to be close enough to make him do that. And, you know, I like to thank Chevrolet and everybody. And, you know, it's another one for the Manufacturers Cup.
And a big sale tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow at Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet, we have an open house and an all-day deal from about, 11 in the morning. We'll be there at about 5. Come on down, we'll sell you a car it costs.
Dale Earnhardt takes the victory. Let's go to John Curtin, who's standing by with Harry Gant.
Well, Harry, all good things must come to an end. Broken brake line off the master cylinder. Is that what happened?
Yeah, the last restart when we drove down the corner, the brakes all the fluid went out. And I didn't radio him immediately. I run a few laps in front, and Earnhardt was behind me, and I seen I could go pretty good on the tires were fresh and cold. And after we got about 15, 20 laps to go, I told him, I said, I've got a brake line broke. Everybody monitors your radio. And so I'm sure Earnhardt knew it then because he moved to the outside, which was better for me to stay ahead of Morgan. And the rest of them, I could drive down there, but I couldn't go very far, and I didn't have any brakes whatsoever. So you just turned it, and it was hard to do. hard to do.
Isn't it amazing, after finishing second today, not winning his 5th straight, Bobby comes home second, still a big smile.
Well, it was a great run by Harry Gant, who does move into 5th place in the Winston Cup point standings. We'll be right back.
Presenting us
top 15 finishers here. Dale Earnhardt beats Harry Gant, Morgan Shepherd, Davey Allison, and Mark Martin. Finishing 6th through 10th would be Rusty Wallace, Ken Schrader, Dale Jarrett, Alan Kowicki. 11 through 15, Jimmy Hensley, Ricky Rudd, Sterling Marlin, Terry Labonte, and Jeff Bodine. The point standings. Earnhardt has a 112-point advantage on Dale Earnhardt, and Harry Gant moves into 5th in the point standings. Our next race, November 17th, the finale, the Hardee's 500 at Atlanta International Speedway. For Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch, thanks for being with us. This is Bob Jenkins from North Wilkesboro. So long, everyone.